supremacy is the sickness.
Well, they refused to be vaccinated and tested for COVID-19, and now those San Diego City employees could be fired. KPBS investigative reporter Claire Trageser has been following the story and has this update on the whole situation.
The city confirmed it has issued advance notice of termination letters to at least 36 employees, half of them in the San Diego Police Department. KPBS obtained the letter templates through a Public Records Act. The letters say the employees' refusal to take COVID tests, quote, amounts to insubordination or serious breach of discipline. But the letters are just the beginning of the city's dismissal process for the workers, says city spokesperson Nicole Darling.
So city employees who were granted an exemption from the COVID-19 vaccination mandate are required to do the weekly testing. There are several employees in the police department who have failed to comply with that weekly testing accommodation. So those who fail to comply will be issued an advance notice of termination, and they will be afforded all of their due process rights and their rights to representation. So the city has issued already advance notice of termination letters to approximately 24 employees in other city departments for failing to comply with that weekly testing accommodation. Those employees have also been afforded their due process rights and rights to representation.
The city of San Diego approved the vast majority of requests to skip the COVID vaccine for religious reasons, but with the requirement that those employees then submit to regular testing. But about 10% of employees, most of them police, also insisted that testing violates their religious beliefs. They said their Christian beliefs instruct them not to use testing swabs because they contain ethylene oxide. The chemical is a known carcinogen, but it is not actually present on the swabs. It's used as a gas to sterilize them. Medical and religious experts say the employees' claims are groundless. KPBS asked Mayor Todd Gloria for his response to the claims. He says,
I think we have been exceedingly patient with these folks. We have worked on this on an individual basis to understand where they're at and what the concerns are. And so to the extent that individuals can be out of compliance and continue to work, that is not ideal. But we, of course, will follow our due process for these individuals and hope, as the vast majority of them have, that they'll come into compliance.
Employees can appeal and then go through what's called a Skelly hearing. After that, if the city still decides to fire the employee, he or she would get a notice of termination from the department head. Claire Trageser, KPBS News.
It is Wednesday, which means most of us are halfway through our work week. There are millions of Americans who work untraditional hours, but on the whole, U.S. employees are at it Monday through Friday, and that schedule comes with a soundtrack.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
But wait, what if it didn't have to be this way? What if instead of punching a clock for 40 hours, 5 days a week, you only had to work 32 hours, 4 days a week? In some ways, the shorter work week could feel more intense. Same work, less time to do it. But then it's over. And you, the employee, get more of your non-working life back. We're continuing our series on how our work lives have changed since the pandemic. And today we are examining the 4-day work week. A lot of employers in white-collar industries are rethinking their employment practices now. Do workers really need to be in the office all the time? Can work be done more efficiently from home? And some are actually experimenting with shorter weeks. Tech companies like Kickstarter and Buffer have entered pilot programs on this. California even tried to introduce a bill that would require large businesses to pay employees overtime if they worked more than 32 hours a week, although that has been shelved for the moment.
There are many people who are spending more time at the office than they need to, and if work were organized more efficiently, they could get it done in a shorter period of time, go home, and have a better life.
This is Juliet Shore. She's an economist and author of the book, The Overworked American. What was your first job, Juliet?
I did dishwashing at college. I guess that's the closest. Then I went to Williams College. That was my first real job.
As a teacher, what are the expectations about work in higher education? How many hours you put in?
The culture was one where new faculty were in their offices all the time, pretty much. And my friends were other people in the department. And I spent long hours in the office.
Which is a thing Juliet Shore says Americans shouldn't have to do. And she's made the issue a big part of her life's work. Juliet is helping lead a set of trials in several different countries, including here in the U.S., where companies try out the 4-day work week for 6 months. 22 American companies have already enrolled in a trial this year. 70 companies in the UK have done so as well.
If you look at the companies that are pioneering the 4-day week, tech is very much at the forefront. The companies who are doing this and who are joining the trials that I'm researching are finding that they can reorganize work in ways that allows people to do as much in 4 days as they were doing in 5. White collar work is the sort of dominant work, and we're also seeing this in nonprofits, which is pretty interesting. But as the trials grow, we're finding new industries coming in. So a restaurant chain in the U.S. trial, healthcare institutions we're starting to see, other kinds of service organizations.
Juliet Shore says she has 3 objectives in these trials. The first is to show how a 4-day work week helps employees.
There's a growing body of research showing people are less stressed, have better well-being, less burnout. They can sleep more, very important, and have more energy, better job satisfaction, etc. And also that sort of social impacts of that. They have more time for family and community. The second is that it's feasible for the companies. For some, it will improve their productivity, profitability, revenue, etc. For others, it may just be a neutral change, but one that makes their employees better off. And, in the long run, the companies will benefit from that. And then the third impact, the one that has sort of less evidence to date at the company level, but which is very important, is impacts on carbon emissions. If people are commuting 1 fewer day a week, that's going to have a big impact on transportation emissions.
I imagine, though, you have employers coming to you and saying, there's just no way we are going to be able to afford this, that it's not actually going to cut our costs, but potentially we could end up having to pay more. You have to onboard more employees to cover all those new shifts.
There's some interesting experiments from Sweden with healthcare workers, nurses in particular, who were given 6-hour days because there's a lot of stress and burnout in nursing. And what these experiments showed is that the nurses getting the 6-hour days, as we would expect, were more productive, they were happier, but the care facilities had to hire people for those extra hours. But what they found was, although there was a small increase in costs, a lot of those additional salaries were offset by lower healthcare costs and lower unemployment for their existing workforces. The other thing in healthcare, of course, is mistakes, so that when you've got tired and stressed employees, you're more likely to get mistakes. So there are ways to make up the costs other than just asking employees to fit all their work into 80% of the time, which is what you're seeing in the white-collar context.
So right there, you heard Shore acknowledge that there are some challenges with a 4-day work week. White-collar industries basically have to ask their employees to finish the same amount of work, but in less time.
It's a lot busier, obviously, when you're trying to do 5 days of work in 4 days.
This is LaDonna Spicer.
And I'm the director of the project management office here at HealthWise.
HealthWise is a company in Boise, Idaho that produces health education materials for hospitals, providers, and health plans. The company experimented with 4-day work weeks last year, and they made it permanent in February. LaDonna says it has made her way more efficient.
You do really have to think through how long your meetings need to be. And this is something we've done a lot of already, is be really well prepared for meetings. So it takes some thoughtful preparation to really be able to optimize your work.
We talked to the CEO of HealthWise, Adam Husney, and he said cutting back to 4 work days has been good for business.
Our revenues went up this year more than we had budgeted. our attrition rate has gone down to, I think we've lost one person in the past 3 months. We've delivered on products on time or ahead of where we have done. The things we are able to measure have all been positive.
And LaDonna gets an extra day for all the life that happens outside of work, like hanging with her grandnephew at the pool,
Do you want me to hold on to that for you?
a trip to the eye doctor,
Hi, I came in Friday to pick my glasses up. And,
even a physical therapy appointment.
Then we'll start on this right side, so it's going to start with some traction.
But 4 days a week is not realistic for other companies. We called up a manufacturing plant in the Northeast that makes steel products. The floor manager who answered the phone told us he didn't have time to grab one of his bosses to speak on tape. But before he hung up, he said they are so slammed because of supply chain shortages and backlogged orders that there's no way they could make a 4-day work week happen. We heard this from HR professionals and other experts too. There's too much work and we don't have enough employees as it is. And even if you can make it work, they say it would be a scheduling nightmare.
The idea of the 4-day work week started bubbling up a few months ago. I mean, you saw it, I saw it, the whole world started to see it become a thing.
This is Lindsay Chepkema. She's the CEO of a marketing technology company called Casted.
And I couldn't really put my finger on why it was bothering me so much, because I wanted a 4-day work week. I wanted to give my team a 4-day work week, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it just didn't land with me. I was like, this isn't going to work. It just doesn't make sense.
Lindsay told me that Fridays off is an exciting bumper sticker of an idea, but it's not all it's made out to be when it comes to making her employees' lives better.
Real flexibility is being able to say, hey, I want to start my workday late, or I want to cut out early on Wednesdays for kid reasons, for friend reasons, for personal reasons, for pet reasons. I want to teach a yoga class during the lunch break, 5 days a week, whatever it may be. That's flexibility. So if I go and mandate that flexibility at our company means you get Fridays off, that's not flexibility. That's mandating a day off.
The trials Juliet Shore is helping lead are still going on, so there isn't enough data to draw conclusions about how much companies can actually save or how much better employee performance and satisfaction are because of a 4-day work week. That won't happen for months. And of course, we have to remember that the economy is sort of in a bad way right now. Inflation rates are crippling, interest rates have gone way up as a result, and some top American CEOs are bracing for a recession. Despite all of that, though, Juliet Shore is convinced that the 4-day work week has irreversible momentum.
If you think about things like those 9-day schedules where they get a Friday off every other week, or Fridays off in the summer, early closings in the summer, Friday just gradually becoming a day in which people are sort of less plugged into their job and doing less work. One of the things we know is that once people have something like this, it's very hard to take it away.
That's definitely true for LaDonna Spicer. She's been working a 4-day week since this past February. And when we asked her if she'd be willing to give that up for a different job somewhere else, she sort of laughed and said her life has changed with this new schedule. She has more of it now, and she is not so ready to give that up.
Of white people who don't know a whole lot of things. But you know what? Under the system of white supremacy, they know enough. Because they don't have to know. And what is that enough? It's something I heard a white woman say one time. A bunch of black people were laughing at her because they was laughing at the way that she dressed. He was talking about how tacky she was at the way that she dressed. This was on a job that I was on. They were getting on the elevator, and they were cracking up at the way that she was dressed. Because she was dressed in what most people would say in an outlandish manner. Just outlandish, okay? Like she had gone out of her way to attract a whole lot of laughter, okay? But she heard them laughing at her. She turned around and said one thing: yes, but I'm white, and walked off.
Wow.
In other words, y'all can laugh at me and dressed in all your fine clothes and all like that, but I can do things that you will never do in your entire life. I can go places. I got connections that you will never have. No matter, your children will never have. That's what she was saying. That was back in the 60s. Those black people on that elevator got dead quiet.
Wow.
Because they knew that she was telling the truth. Say, yeah, I can dress any cotton-picking way I want to. But you got no right to laugh at me. Because when you look at my overall circumstances and yours, no contest. That's what she was saying in just that one statement. Now, she didn't say all that. She just made one statement. But I was standing nearby. I knew exactly what it meant. Yeah, but I'm white, you know. I don't have to dress no kind of way. I don't even have to have clothes on.
This week, we're looking at how our work lives have changed since the pandemic. And today, we are thinking about what we wear. Okay, fashion may seem small, but it says something larger about how the pandemic has changed all of us. Now, if you work in certain industries that were aesthetically relaxed before, that probably hasn't changed. But the pandemic has given some people a chance to loosen up. Our producer, Milton Guevara, went to Capitol Hill and found Jeremy Gonzalez, who has worked there since November.
Yeah, I would say definitely. Like when I first started coming in, even on recess days, I would be wearing a suit and a tie, or even like my 3-piece suit that I have that I think is like, you know, I feel good in that outfit. Now, unless it's like a voting day, I usually am not wearing a suit. Otherwise, I would just be wearing jeans and like, you know, maybe a button down or a polo.
Okay, jeans and a polo is not exactly fashion forward, but it is pretty casual for the Hill. We wondered if looser dress codes had found their way into another notoriously formal work culture, Wall Street, where for men, suits are really the only option, and even then, not a huge range of improvisation.
You know, in terms of color palette and all that, I mean, it's blue and black, and the shirts are white or blue.
This is David Gura. He covers Wall Street for NPR, and he did a little digging for us on if and how dress codes have changed in the epicenter of American finance. He called up a source David calls his suits guy. He's named Ken Giddon. His family has run this storied men's store in Manhattan since the 1920s called Rothman's.
I called him up and I asked him sort of what's changed now that offices are reopened, and this is what he said.
In terms of dress code, the one thing that I would say certainly for the Wall Street crowd is the operative word is confusion.
So people are coming back and they feel like, okay, I can't wear the sweats that I was wearing. You know, I should be wearing something more formal, but they don't really know what that is. And I thought what was so fascinating as I heard Ken talk about this, is like it's across the board. So it's interns who are saying they're confused, kind of first years right out of college are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But he says executives are coming in and they have the same complaint. They just don't know what this dress code's supposed to be like in this new world.
That's so interesting. They definitely perceive that something has shifted, though. Everything's just not going back to the way it was.
And I think that like before the pandemic, they had a good handle on what the dress code was at banks and law firms and across corporate America. And now he's learning as well. So like he's advising people on what to wear. And then I think he's kind of counting on them to come back and tell him what they're seeing, because obviously, yeah, his job is like to be an advisor in some respect, to make sure that people are outfitted the way that they want to be or should be for jobs.
Young people in particular, for whom they may be walking into their first jobs and, you know, they just spent 2 years at home. Maybe they were, you know, at home taking college classes and they don't have a clue.
Yeah, he's done this for years. Like they'll come in and he says they'll maybe start with a suit, figuring they need one of those. They'll pick out a sport coat.
But then they're not sure where to go. Do you wear dress slacks to work? Do you wear khakis? Can you wear jeans? And nobody really has drawn the line, and nobody really knows what the right answer is.
So the advice that he's giving them is just wear dress trousers and a blazer, collared shirt, and very quickly you'll get a sense if that's the vibe of the office. And he said, worst case, you just hang that blazer on your coat hook or doorknob and you don't wear it the next day.
You heard the man. Err on the dressier side and then figure it out from there. Robin Gavon thinks this is good advice too, and believe me, you want to listen to Robin because writing about what our outward appearance means was her full-time gig at the Washington Post for most of her career. So, I mean, you used to write exclusively about fashion. Now you write about all kinds of things. But, I mean, I'm looking at you online, all these photos of you, Robin. You're a very well-heeled woman. You always look totally put together.
You're very kind.
I mean, it's just truth. So when you were on lockdown like the rest of us, I'm assuming that you didn't dress to the nines? What was your situation?
Well, I certainly had my days when, I worked out in the morning and just sort of stuck with sweatpants or something for the rest of the day. But honestly, I missed the clothes in my closet. And so I would put them on. And as I joked to one of my colleagues, I said, a steady diet of yoga pants and sweatpants will lie to you. A pair of jeans will be very honest about what your eating habits have wrought.
I feel that in a very real way. So now here we are. A lot of people have gone back to their offices, to their pre-COVID work routines. What have you noticed in terms of changes since people have returned? Are they keeping some of that cash vibe or what?
One of the things that I found to be striking just within the fashion industry is that there was a lot of conversation of trying to create collections that were much more sort of comfort first. But what I've noticed is that there's really a return to sort of fashion with a capital F, because I think people who loved it before continue to love it. And there's something about creating boundaries again, right? Where you have the clothes that you wear out into the world, and then you have the clothes that are sort of your playtime clothes, your downtime clothes.
Although, I spoke to one person who talked to me about breaking down that boundary and how that felt liberating to them, to not have to bifurcate yourself that way, that there was a certain uniform, a definition of what it meant to be a professional that they didn't feel was really authentic to them anymore. And now they're wearing overalls and big flamboyant colors and erasing that boundary.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's sort of the big existential question, at least in the fashion realm, as people return to the office, which is, how much of a breakdown do you want between sort of the personal self and the professional self? And I think for some people, it is really invigorating to be able to bring the entirety of their personality with them wherever they go. And I think there are other people who were frustrated by the fact that their workday never really seemed to end, that everything blurred into one giant mush of constantly being online, constantly being on call. And they sort of long for more of a delineation between the two. I think that ultimately we'll come to some sort of happy medium. But I will say that one area where the role of comfort seems to have stuck is in footwear. I am not seeing a return to the serious dressy heels or constricting footwear. I'm seeing a lot more flats, both in offices, on runways, in lookbooks, in magazines.
Yeah, how did we ever do that? I look at these heels. I have to admit, I was never really a heel person, but right before the lockdowns, I decided I needed some. And now I look at them and I'm like, there's just no way. I'm never, ever putting those on.
Yeah, but there had already been a lot of collaborations between high-end fashion brands like Birkenstock and Converse and Adidas. And, there had been sort of sneaker technology put into dress shoes.
Yeah.
And this idea that you could still look very professional and polished and dressed up wearing a pair of flats.
But remember how that was so stigmatized back in the day? Not to diss on Neutralizer or any of those other older brands, but...
go ahead, diss on them.
Poor Neutralizer. But that was like an old lady shoe, right? If you were looking for a comfortable shoe, that was totally not the hip and cool thing to do. And now I see cool sneakers everywhere.
Yeah, I freely own up to the fact that one of the earliest stories I wrote when I came to Washington was about all of these women emerging from the metro and, looking like they were headed into, some law office from the ankles up, but they were wearing the equivalent of, workout sneakers on their feet.
Like Working Girl, like Melanie Griffith.
Exactly. And I thought, oh my God, this column is going to be the one that leads my obituary or something, because people were so outraged.
So in your best guidance then, so I'm still working at home. I should just admit this. And I am having a real mental block about going back to work and not wearing my athleisure wear. Your suggestion to me is just try it and see what happens. Maybe it's not so scary.
I would say ease into it. I mean, I don't think you have to go
like a nice pair of yoga pants.
Yoga pants to, the full 3-piece suit.
That's never happening.
Ensemble.
Right.
But I think you could go from yoga pants to maybe a pair of, up-style track pants.
Ooh,
and maybe a simple
cool.
pullover and a pair of high-style Birkenstocks. I mean, I think that's a very gentle shift.
We don't even know each other that well, and you just nailed my look. That was perfect.
I don't want to cause any problems, Lieutenant. I just want a new partner.
Oh, I understand. Your partner's a racist prick, but you don't want to stir up any bad feelings with him.
Well, he's been on the force for a long time.
17 years.
And I do have to work here, sir.
So, you don't mind that there's a racist prick on the force. You just don't want him to ride in your car.
If you need me to go on record about this, sir, I will.
That'd be great. Write a full report. Because I'm anxious to understand how an obvious bigot could have gone undetected in this department for 17 years. 11 of which he was under my personal supervision, which doesn't speak very highly of my managerial skills. But that's not your concern. I can't wait to read it.
African-American sheriff in a local county says he's had some employees quit because of his race and even had his life threatened since he took office. Now he's defending himself against accusations of mismanagement and more. And he believes race is part of the reason for the criticism. Channel 2's Tom Jones is live in Henry County, where he spoke exclusively about this issue. Tom.
Yeah, Wendy, I reached out to Sheriff Reginald Scandrett after someone asked me to look into allegations on a social media post made by a former candidate for sheriff here in the county. Jim Cox questioned the sheriff's handling of his budget. He talked about a $25,000 shower installed here and a $97,000 truck the sheriff was riding in with a driver. The sheriff told me this stems in part because some people don't like the fact that he's an African-American sheriff here.
I received threats. Yeah. I received death threats.
Henry County Sheriff Reginald Scandrett says that's why he has a driver. The first African-American sheriff here spoke to me after I asked him to address a number of concerns made by a former sheriff's candidate on social media, including he has someone to drive him around. Jim Cox wrote there is a mass exodus from the sheriff's office. The sheriff says people have left because they didn't agree with his vision and increased standards.
And we have some people that say, quite frankly, we will never work for an African-American sheriff.
Scandrett says they've been replaced. Cox wrote the jail was understaffed. Scandrett says it takes around 30 people per shift to run the jail.
We have about 25 and some change now.
Cox complained the sheriff installed a $25,000 shower with a Bluetooth speaker.
We did add a shower.
Scandrett says it was $7,800. Cox also said the sheriff has a tricked-out $97,000 truck. Scandrett gave me documents that showed it cost $56,000, and that's not all.
The truck was purchased by the prior sheriff.
Scandrett says when he arrived, he found the jail in horrible condition to where he instituted Operation Facelift. He told me he chooses to focus on bringing the sheriff's office up to standard and not the false narratives people enjoy spreading.
We're not embracing that. We're not going to chase those narratives. We're running toward the levels of excellence.
Scandrett told me on occasion he spends several nights in a row here and he needs that shower. He says his office is clearing warrants and locking people up who need to be locked up. I reached out to Jim Cox. He told me he would check with his boss to see if he could speak with the media and would get back to me next week. We're live in Henry County. Tom Jones, Channel 2 Action News.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, July 8, 2022. So I have been told. This is our weekly summit, Neutralizing Workplace Racism. If we have any non-white people in the known universe, you have figured out these are things to do. Get all of your promotions, all of your raises in the workplace. You don't have problems on your job. If you get a promotion or what have you, you don't have a mass exodus. Your coworkers, colleagues aren't walking around mad, not going to work with some Negro manager, putting in my 2 weeks. That doesn't happen. You are a respected, valued member of your organization, and your compensation reflects that you are a valued member of the team. If you need time off, you get it. You are never ridiculed, criticized, reprimanded about your wardrobe. This is you. Let us know how you did it. 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. As usual, if you have some difficulties, maybe they do admonish you about your attire in the workplace. Maybe you are not a valued member of the team. If you're having difficulties, dial in. We will do our best to use counter-racist logic to kind of help process, see if you can figure out ways to solve problems without creating new problems in the workplace. Some of the reports that we heard at the beginning, give out the email as well. Some of the reports that we heard at the beginning they first gave us the segment on the enforcement officers in San Diego down there with Rob. Said, well, it wasn't just enforcement officers. And they didn't put racial classification on it. That's another one. Rob has never told us that it's just tons of niggers. All the black people migrated out to San Diego from Wisconsin and the Midwest. You know, they just couldn't take it anymore. I haven't heard that. I've been to San Diego more than once, in fact. I didn't see tons of black people down there. So if there are lots of San Diegoans who are being obstinate, we're not going to take it. Not doing the vaccine. And they said, okay, no problem. You don't have to do the vaccine. Just do the test. I'm not doing that either. Violating my religion of white supremacy. But you're violating my religious rights. I'm not doing none of that. They didn't say anything about Nurse Rivers or nothing else. Again, now why have white people conducted themselves in that manner for 2+ years? And police officers got the same thing right up here with me, Pacific Northwest. The police officers in Portland did the same thing. Not doing the vaccine, not doing the test, don't care about the Rona, you're not going to make me. They didn't fire them in Portland. In Portland, they said, well, forget it. Y'all aren't going to comply. We're just not going to enforce it. San Diego, they writing up your letters of termination. Let's get it cracking. Defiant white people need not apply. We heard, let's see, the commentary on the 4-day work week. They mentioned the phrase white collar 4 times in that segment alone. Now, that's a lot for one segment. Talk about those metaphors and what have you. I don't know. Now, maybe we have, COW's listeners who are a part of the experiments, trials, 4-day work week. Maybe that's happening. Maybe we have COW's listeners, they're full-time employees. They work 32 hours a week, have lots more free time, can do constructive projects, counter racist experiments, work on books, videos, documentaries, blogs, all of that. Maybe. Since they said white collar that many times, I suspect that it's going to be individuals classified as white who will be getting all of the wonders and joys of workplace efficiency. So we don't have to waste all this time. Man, there is so much time wasting, and I'm sure people, many of you all can attest to that, but there's so much time wasting. Having these away days and picnics and Christmas parties and birthday parties and all this other nonsense and gossip about who has on what today, and did you see Helen's new hat and her new shoes, and she's had that dress on for the last 2 weeks. Like, there's so much time wasting. Like, the full-time work week could easily be 32 hours. I mean, it's easily 8 hours of wasted time. Easily. Every day. Or I would say within a week, I would say every day it's at least an hour of wasted time on just absolute nonsense, where this could be condensed, done away with entirely. We don't need to do this at all. One person could maybe do this, where it could easily be, hey, we have a 32-hour full-time work week. We've got everything done, even got a chance to say hi to everybody. Didn't have to be mum in the office and not speak. Got all of our work done, efficient and rolling. Lots of time spent practicing racism in the workplace. We talked about that. We got to get in our racist jokes and memes and all the rest of that nonsense. They said within that same report, talking about the 4-day work week, and I hear all of these reports, at least I process them with all of the technology over the next 100 years or so. Hopefully racism will be vanquished in that process. But as time goes on and the technology, have already been talking about calling it the end of work. That so many computers and all the technology is going to, you want to talk about efficiency, like, woo. I talk about the sanitation. Used to be you'd have 3 people on the garbage truck. Now, in many instances, it's 1. Very soon it's going to be 0. Lots of jobs will be like that, where just eventually it's not really going to be a need to have a person per se doing this. So there will be lots more people having free time. Probably individuals classified as white, where they can go out, frolic, practice racism, more racist jokes, more memes, all the rest of it. Experimenting. I thought that was important too. Race soldiers do a lot of experimenting and global experiment with the 4-day work week to see, is this feasible? Said even in California, they were trying to mandate it 32 hours for a full-time load. Even imagine that for numbers of folks out there, your parents, just thinking about that now, how radically that would change your life if you only had to work 4 days a week or 32 hours a week, and that's full-time benefits, all of that. It could be a radical shift. It could just mean that we have more time to watch Real Housewives, Scandal, whatever new is on Netflix. It could mean that too. Let's see. Within the same rubric, and they were talking about how COVID impacted a lot of this, which is probably true. In the same subject matter, they talked about the impact of COVID on dress. I thought that was such a important moment to remember. Neely Fuller Jr. and what he had to say, that white woman, hey, she doesn't even have to have on clothing. I'm white. My man talked about experiments. Caller in Florida talked about the warden. She came in wearing the same outfit for 2 weeks, waiting for somebody to say something, and then told them in the debrief, I've been conducting an experiment in the workplace. I would recommend victims of white supremacy, non-white people, you are not the warden. You are not classified as white. I wrote it out online. Hey, I have seen many, many non-white people in their Sunday best. Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Patrice Lumumba, beaten, savaged, killed even in their Sunday best. I would recommend, if you are a non-white person, even if you haven't, we do have some non-white people where they have been working from home, hybrid, whatever it is, for some of them for the entire time since the whole COVID situation started. Maybe they went back in for a day or two, but the bulk of their time over this period has been from home. My recommendation, or even some of the folks who've been home for some of this time, my recommendation, even if it has switched up, and you certainly can let us know if your work environment was someplace professional, someplace where people didn't come in with jeans and sweatshirts and what have you before the pandemic. If you had a professional attire work environment, if that's changed, you can let us know. If it's now people are wearing sweats and yoga pants and sneakers, where they used to come in business suits and blazers and all the rest of it. I would recommend for non-white people that you not make that change. In a system of racism, white supremacy, non-white people, you coming into the office in pajamas, footies, sweats, whatever it is, much easier for that to be used against us than it is for someone classified as white. And they even have reports where they talked about within all this in the pandemic that some people have been punished where they've had some sort of choice. Do you want to work from home? Do you want to come in? The people that stayed at home were punished, meaning their long-term success in the company, these people were not, they're not going to be in line for promotions, that sort of thing. Hey, they're, kind of slacker being at home. I could see that. And even I could see that being used as justification. Old Jamal is coming in. He's been wearing, footies the whole, COVID situation. That's not, the image that we want to send out as being a professional Fortune 500 organization. Old Jamal period. But then Jamal in footies, pajamas, whatever it is. Now, again, white people, they can do that. They can come in, run down sneaker, flip-flops. What Fuller say? I don't even have to put on clothes. I'm white. I wear the same thing for 2 weeks. I'm white. I'm doing experiments. I would recommend keep it the same thing I've been saying forever. Prudish. You wear the same thing. Whatever you wore before all this started, that's what I will continue to wear if it is prudish. Meaning not loud colors, nothing that would stand out. Professional attire that is clean, but no, like we said, no yellows. The orange, I know it's summertime. You might want to do all that. Muted, natural colors for the work environment. Professional and clean. That's it. I mean, it would not be a big change. And like I said, I would even buy the same type. We had the caller who wrote out for the females, not doing anything outlandish. You get one hairstyle and that's it. No loud colors, no lots of makeup, not the big high heels and everything. Pullover, professional. And it's that every day. Same thing for the males. I would not get into all that, even if other people around you, even if they have gotten very casual with what they're wearing in the workplace, I would not follow their lead. Let the white people do that. Even if the CEO is doing that, cool in the gang, let them be the one wearing footies. You do the same thing. COVID never happened. Professional for the workplace. Let's see. They had the report about Officer Scandron said that the exodus, they were upset, got this Negro enforcement official. Then they went in with the report, said he's got this tricked out vehicle. Now that's one now where they have said it was tricked out. Regardless about whether it was tricked out or not, he came with the receipts. I love it. Documentation. Officer Scandron came in, Sheriff Scandron, he's bang, here are the receipts for what it actually cost. And the previous sheriff made this purchase. Then they go to the, oh my God, he's got this $1 billion shower. Oh, that's tricked out too. Goes with the receipts for what that actually cost. And then, hey, we need a shower. We're here working on, I think most police stations, that's standard, I think. Like, I have never worked as a sheriff or enforcement officer, but I think most police departments, they have a shower. Like, that's, you're doing training and what have you. You might have to be out chasing Negro rapists and what have you, and they have a uniform and what have you. I don't think that's crazy to have a shower at the police station. Maybe I'm an idiot. Folks can, let me know. Anyway, we'll pause there with the reports, although there were many other details related to workplace racism. Even all that about Boris Johnson and his resignation around him appointing a white official who went out and groped male staff members. Talk about that all the time. You have to have a code about incorrect sexual behavior in the workplace. Nip it in the bud immediately and make reports when that happens. That right there, I said, is workplace racism. Now look at that. All of that end up leading to a prime minister having to resign. Historic, global disgrace and humiliation. Forever have that in the history books. Incorrect behavior in the workplace. And I think he might have been the white man, MP Pincher. I said, even that, his name Pincher, around pinching people in the groin. That under the influence. And I talked about that, being at those work functions and what have you. You got to be sober, because that is all over the world. They go to those work parties and what have you and get sloshed, and they get the grabbing and pinching and all the rest of it. Like, man, have a code. Away days I talked about, summer picnics or anything else that they're going to have. You got to be alert, on code. Could be dangerous. Now, folks who emailed in the email untiljustice@gmail.com, untiljustice@gmail.com. Now, let's see. We'll get in one of those and then get to some of the folks who wrote in. Got confused about my email. There we go. All righty. Let's see. First email. This is black female. She's written in a few times about her workplace situation. She writes in. Wait a minute. Oh no. Get the LGBT. Woo! Gay rights is changing everything. Alrighty. She writes in, there is a trans person on my team, and he's a white male who chooses to be called a female. I am not used to dealing with trans people, but I just wanted to comment on how tough it was to write an email and chat with him so I don't get in trouble for misgendering him. They will call you a homophobe so fast. Woo! He looks like an obvious man, but addressing him correctly, according to white people, not accurately, is the important thing. I was just taken aback at how long it took me to communicate with him and address him. It's just something I noticed. I totally feel you. I would take advantage, if this is an email, I would take advantage and go very slow and do lots of referring to this person by their name. Now, I'm all about, hey, call people what they want to be called in the work environment. If it's supposed to be, they give you their pronouns, or, they say I'm a female, even if it's, a 6 foot white male who looks like Hulk Hogan and he says, I want to be called Teresa, you call him Teresa every time. He says, well, I'm not him either. You know, I got my pronouns and I'm Teresa. So, all right, Teresa. I would do lots of Teresa, just calling the person Teresa by their name. And then if they gave me the pronouns, now I am not somebody that would be a bit much. If I got to have a list of pronouns for all of the people in the workplace, or even really one, like that's a lot. But I definitely, if the person, I'm Teresa, boom, they say do not call me sir or he, I would do that, no problem. And if it's an email, I would double check to make sure I've not said, you know, anything where it's, hey man, I've had to tell you, you know, you're doing that. Cut it out with all that sir and mister and Teresa. Absolutely, my mistake. Sorry, Teresa. Do better about that. But yeah, I mean, that's something, you know, that is serious, and you absolutely can get in trouble. It's already the system of white supremacy. They have already done such a job with the niggers, people classified as black or homophobes. You know, they'll beat up anybody that's gay and all the rest of it. They're all about, you know, the binary. You got to be male and female. Anything else, and they just, you know, that's been spread and globally. So yeah, I would just say take your time. If it's an email, definitely take advantage to make sure that you proofed it and not say anything that's gonna, you know, get you an HR type of a situation. And then if you'll have to talk in person, like I said, I would just call the person by their name, Teresa, boom, whatever the name is, and just go from there. But yeah, definitely that is, as Mr. Fuller has said, the gay rights movement changing everything. And that is something. Racism, white supremacy probably will not be addressed in any serious way in the workplace, but oh man, you get accused of mistreating somebody on those LGBTQ issues, that will be a totally different proposal. Anywho, the number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with commentary, if you have workplace racism, fashion information to share, let us know.
Hey, Gus. Victor from New Jersey. Can you hear me?
Crystal.
Okay, I'm in the gym, so I had to go to a little secluded area. So I went back to the plantation, so I was cleared. So, you know, I'm working, you know, taking it easy. They got me kind of like on semi-light duty. As far as like the parties that has happened to me on work at a party, co-worker, salesperson. Just came and, you know, I wear a bald head. So I shave my hair. So he just came and just kissed me on the top of the head and, you know, just kind of, you know, pushed him like, hey, you know. So definitely, it's really not a laughing matter, but, and this is a guy that I had to, check for some tacky behavior. Unfortunately, I did entertain a conversation. This is before Donald Trump got in office, and he went on a ride with me in the truck, the salesperson, and I don't even think I was talking to him. I might have been talking to my helper, and we were just talking about Donald Trump, and this was during the time he was, you know, running, and he says, well, what about Al Sharpton? So I'm like, for one, you interjecting in a conversation that I'm not even talking to you about. And I said, what that has to do with anything? Like, I'm not, you know, but I quickly changed the subject. And he also made a remark because, you know, when my hair is kind of like has that shadow, because, you know, I'm balding in the middle. So if I'm not completely shaved, I either wear a hat or I may wear a wave cap, you know, if my hair is not fully shaved. So I come in and he made a remark about, you know, my head rag. And I had to kind of check him again, listen, I don't, I forgot what I said, but I don't really joke with you like that. Stop, So I quickly kind of checked him, and it was kind of like it was racial when he said something about the hair rag. So after that, he kind of backed up off me. But even then, in a party, when I see him, he's acting like we're best of friends, and he just comes and kisses me on top of the head. So I'm like, listen, back up off. But so definitely tacky behavior. I should have skipped that part. Gus, and I close with this: the tacky job that I left, that they keep trying to get me back. They're still calling. So even when I was injured, so I had to basically block the supervisor. So I blocked him. The owner calls, so he leaves a message. I didn't even really read the message, but they're still trying to entice me to get me to, come back. Matter of fact, I did talk to the owner, and he was saying, like he needs me back, and he promised that I'm going to be happy with the pay he's going to give me, and I'm going to be in the inner circle. So I don't know what the inner circle means, but obviously I was out of the inner circle when they was acting real tacky about that gas card. So, he asked me, am I vaccinated? It's really none of your business, but if I have to be vaccinated, then I definitely can't come back. So I just basically blocked the supervisor, and I also blocked the owner. It's just, I'm just like, they're just so aggressively just, constantly calling me. It's just kind of like
dirty bastards.
When I was working with them, they they had no regard for my time. When I was off work, when I was on vacation, they would call me. I'm like, I'm not even working for you guys anymore, and y'all calling me. So I blocked the supervisor, and he called me from a blocked number. And I'm like, do I got to get a restraining order on you guys? So, Gus, I really don't even know what to make out of this behavior from this old employer, but it's real weird, and I can't even really describe it. Yeah, but I close with that.
Wow. Al Sharpton. I love it. Long live Al Sharpton. Context of White Supremacy. He said he came and kissed them on the head. My goodness. I said you have to have a code at those parties. Woo. Anything can happen, because that is so common. This is not something that's just Boris Johnson. It's not something that's just New Jersey. This is worldwide. And it's any Christmas party, 4th of July party, the summer picnic, birthday jamboree, Juneteenth fest, anything. Especially if there's going to be any liquor, because so many times they have these at bars, or they'll have them someplace where there is going to be alcohol served. And not that has to be a part of it, but that just greatly increases the likelihood of something like this happening. But coming and grabbing you by the crotch, kissing you on the head, and as he said, black self-respect. Hey, back up off me and do not ever do that again. Not joking around, not playing, super serious. And that's the sort of thing, something like that happens, in my view, you leave immediately. Leave immediately. If you had went up, white male or white woman, I'm not even going to say kiss, because death penalty. But if you had just came up and gave them a really strong hug. Oh, my white brother. I haven't seen you in so long. My white sister. Come here, girl. Give me some sugar. Come on. You definitely wouldn't have got a gas card then. Or been invited to the inner circle. And that's so common. The coming up and a black person coming up and patting them on the head and kissing them and rubbing them on the head and all the rest of it like you're a child, like, oh, yes. And I mean, written out, that's some delectable Negro, too. Especially, he said, with the context where before it was he sees him come in where we would normally have a hat on or whatever if his head is not shaven. I guess he says he comes in that day, he says, oh, you got your gang, gang paraphernalia on. We got our old gangster in here today. E40's cousin in here, I guess, do New Jersey style. But, yeah, we got old gangster coming in here, something like that. Like, are you serious? Oh, you got some of your prison clothes on today, I see. Wow, he's going to be tough in here. Oh, don't shank us. That type of thing. And then we go from that to, oh, let me give you a kiss, my favorite Negro. Even reminds me of Dr. Tommy Curry, the man not the fungibility of the black male. We can go from someone to insult and degrade to the very next one, and now some homoerotic behavior. Anyway, lots of dangers at those parties. That's why we say bring someone with you who is also sober. That way, if that sort of thing happens, you got a witness, you can leave immediately. Let's see. All of the harassment from the job, I think that would be the correct term. We've had other folks who have talked about where they think certain jobs, hey, they want vengeance. We want to, get back at you for some sort of proceed. You did whatever, even if it's you're just an uppity Negro. You showed a little bit too much black self-respect, so we want to check you, so to speak. That type of thing. That even could be it, especially because I think he said this former company might have found out that he was going in business for himself and all the rest of it. Like, what? What kind of entrepreneurial coon is this? Who do you think you are? Leave us and try and go and do something. And he said, just harass. And why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Get the owner to call and harass. Why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? He said he blocked the number. They called from a blocked number. Why don't you come back? You'll be a part of the inner circle. Now you do have, they said, the job shortages continue even with, they talk about so-called looming recession maybe and inflation and all the rest of it. There are still plenty of job shortages, and I would think especially for delivery driving. So it could be they are hurting. They don't have drivers. You're experienced, quality worker, competent, their system or what have you. Like, man, we would do anything to get that old coon back. It could be, that's a part of it. But then too, I also think, like, what is all this? Like, really? Is there some of that? This uppity Negro left us, go try and, start his own business. Oh, we get him back and we're going to really stick it to him, old coon. Could be some of both. Either way, just that is so incorrect. If you've made it firm, I've moved on, got other things to do. I appreciate, the opportunity, appreciate the experience, but, moved on, different point in life now. Oh, okay, right on, move on. Not the continued, I block your number and you gonna call from a net, like, are you serious? And that's one thing too, the training of racism, white supremacy, sometimes it's difficult for us to say no to a white person. That's how we've been trained. Anything, especially for a phone call, email, texting, you are not obligated to respond. I see so many people, someone calls and they feel like they have to answer. This is white people and non-white people. No, you don't. That is your phone. You don't have to answer. There is a block feature on the phone. As stated, it can be used. Block their number. That way you don't have to deal with any of it. They call from another. Once you've made it clear, like you've been professional, you gave you 2 weeks notice, you moved on, you told them no thank you if they've tried to hire you back, and they persist, like you've done everything correct. At that point, where it's got to get to the point where now I got to block a number and all this, like this is my phone. You are harassing me. There's no need for any of this communication. This is a major problem at this point. At this point, like, hey, they have non-harassment orders that you can get at the police department. If I answer the phone, you dial from some crazy block number or what have you, and I happen to answer and it's you all, I'm hanging up immediately because I've already told you all this, and you're wasting time and energy at this point. I'm not going to keep going through all this and having to give you excuses and all the rest of it. I've moved on. Lots of ways that white people waste their time and energy. But again, just because I am thinking, white people do that. There are many ways that white people display thought patterns that are very different than what the thought, speech, behaviors that I see with other non-white people. That is one that I think for race soldiers, oh yeah, a nigger that we want to get back at, hire him and we're going to put it to him. We might even be hiring for the purpose of firing. That type of a thing. Could be either way. It's a waste of time. I wouldn't even fool with them. And then they got to get into your medical information. Are you vaccinated? I don't even work for you. Why are you, see, that's what I'm like. I'm not even on the phone with you anymore. Goodbye. Have a lovely summer. Have a blessed day. Inner circle indeed. Let's see. Blessings to Al Sharpton. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. If you have commentary to share, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Non-Clemson grad. Yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening to everyone. I got quite a couple of stories. I'll try to go through them as fast as I can. I'll first talk about the work from home. I did get to work from home for a couple of months at the beginning of COVID. It was very, very nice, relaxing. Stress levels went down. Matter of fact, one day during work from home, my friends and I, another black couple and my wife, we went boating on the lake during the work day. My work for the day was done, so went to go enjoy myself, even though it's work hours. It was a beautiful, beautiful day on the lake boating. Interestingly enough, since then, of course, I've been back to work every day, 5 days a week. But recently, a new director started a black female, and one of the policies she wants to introduce is working one day from home every other week. So we'll see how that goes. Interestingly enough, there was a black female director many years ago before I even got there, and she had really good policies at the time, so much so that people at the county believed she had the best work policies in the entire county. But for whatever reason, they found a way to get rid of her. They downgraded her position, put her under another administrator, and they basically worked her out of the department. She has since been gone. That was probably a decade ago. You asked me if I heard about Cynthia Wiggins. Back during the Trump presidency, his transportation secretary erroneously said 96% of traffic incidents were human error. She misquoted a federal report. There's something called the Hayden Matrix, which can be found on the Federal Highway Administration website used for safety analysis. In this analysis, it looks at pre-crash, the crash, and the post-crash. This is then broken into 4 categories, including human, vehicle and equipment, physical environment, and socioeconomic. To say that racism kills Cynthia Wiggins would put her incidents into pre-crash, the pre-crash row, and physical and socioeconomic columns. Public meeting. I've been having public meetings for work starting this week. Just got back from one earlier today. There was a man there from the local newspaper who takes pictures for the local newspaper. Personally, I've seen this man before, and he strikes me as a little bit learning disabled or mentally disabled, maybe even a little retarded. Pick your word. Anyway, I was wearing an orange shirt. I did hear what you say about wearing bright colors. I will keep that in mind for the future. Nevertheless, orange, like the orange shirt I was wearing, is one of the colors for Clemson University. The man came over and asked if I went to Clemson. To which I say, no, orange is just a nice color. And then he asked me if I played football. Now, Gus, you have met me personally. You see how tall I am, my size. Maybe at your size, you probably get a lot of that trifling question about whether or not you play sports, because I think we're roughly the same size. Let's see. Now, work story. My manager and the office and the administrative assistant in my office are happy that a white Republican county councilman lost his runoff election. The administrative assistant thinks that the councilman caused more damage, including to the Metropolitan Planning Organization, before leaving office. I do work for the Metropolitan Planning Organization, also referred to as an MPO. They said that since he became county chairman and appointed himself to the MPO, he has caused a lot of damage. I asked specifically what damage the councilman caused. The administrative assistant said removing another white Republican councilman from the MPO policy committee. I responded that as county chairman, councilman has the right to remove the other councilman from the MPO policy committee and appoint himself. I reiterated my question and asked what damage has the councilman caused. The administrative assistant turned her head away and was no longer interested in the conversation or question. My manager said that the removed councilman cared about the issues in the MPO, implying that the other councilman chairman doesn't. At that point, it was the end of the conversation. I think I asked a very simple question, but even when white people are clearly being problematic and corrupt, other people won't tell the truth. Personally, I'm not aware of what damage the councilman did or has not done. Interestingly, my then director, now county administrator, said at the time that when the councilman became chairman, the county had been taken over by vandals. Second and final story. I once talked about a story where there was a former county councilman who wanted to apply for a federal grant, but he was grifting. Whoever he, do the grant with, he'll find a way to, take a little money off the top or bottom, whatever, however he gets his money. So basically, because of me paying attention, I was actually able to get him to leave the grant. But unfortunately, even though he formally said he left the grant, he is still interfering with the grant process. So even though another entity has taken on the grant because they are more able and willing to do it, he is now calling in, basically calling other people in the entity that's taken over the grant to say, to offer his services. Of services, I couldn't tell you what. As far as I know, he has no particular skill set. It was interesting because the person who took over the grant called me. No, before that even happened, my manager asked me to share information about the grant with another entity that the former councilman was working with. To which I asked, is that appropriate? To which my manager said, yes, I don't see how. He has nothing to do with the grant anymore. Nevertheless, I can file with my manager. And I asked my manager, can I also tell the current entity that's working the grant that the former councilman is interested in, is still trying to work on the grant as well, too. To which my manager said, yeah, that's perfectly fine. And I did let that other person know. That other person then proceeds to call me back and say, he basically did not want to work with the councilman because he finds the councilman to be very, very problematic in the way that he works and basically doesn't trust him. I had that phone call recorded. He doesn't see him as a trustworthy person and even finds him to be quite shady. I'm not sure about the exact word, but you get the idea. Very, very untrustworthy, in my opinion, trifling type of person. And I said, you have a right as a person who's leading the grant to go ahead and decide not to work with this person because you are the lead entity. If you choose to work with them, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. But what I won't do is that you're the lead person. I'm only obligated to speak to you. If he calls me, emails me, or contacts me, I will simply ignore his messages or simply relay them back to you because I have no obligation to listen to the man. I'm the reason why he was removed from the grant and also why the federal government is looking at this particular grant with increased scrutiny because I literally requested it because of what he was doing on the grant that just came up to me as grifting. Ironically enough, I did tell my friend here, just like, you've heard that I give a little bit of advice to the Black African. I do have a friend here in South Carolina that I get advice from, and when things like this happen at work, I let him know. He called me about a day or two ago to let me know that with things like this, especially about the part about the county councilman and whether that person should or should not have been removed or appointed himself, that I need not say my opinion or even engage in these kinds of conversations because it reveals too much about what I might think about a person or even an elected official. And he was absolutely right. Even though I might think a certain thing, I need not have a conversation with my coworkers, especially when they are white. So that was a mistake that I made. So with that, I mute my line.
Much obliged, non-Clemson grad. wearing the colors of Clemson. They were probably thinking like, ooh, bet he played with Jameis Winston. It's on the national championship team, maybe. No. Didn't even go to the school. Pitchfork Ben Tillman. I thought it was important. He said that they had the black female. She worked there as supervisor. They said she had some of the best policies, getting things done, and what efficient. Wow. Man. Got rid of her. I said that many times. Just because you are competent, great at what you do, you are classified as black? Yeah. Sometimes it seems that might even set you up for increased mistreatment. The fact that you are competent, good at what you do. Definitely got to get that Negro. We'll see what happens. He says the current black female that's in charge now, she's trying to implement I think he said every other week you get to work from home one day. See, that they were talking about that with the 4-day work week and all that all this is going to creep into being more mainstream now that people have experienced it. Have to see, particularly that idea being pitched from a non-white person. We'll have to see. Let's see. He said, the folks said, vandals have taken over the county. Like, what? Vandals? What do you mean? What? White people in their, office conflicts and spats. Like, my goodness, the name calling as well. Vandals. Wow. All of that. I remember him, non-Clemson grad, calling in to speak with us previously about this white person doing the graft as they call it, or what have you, where he's going to put in, see if he can get this grant, and then get $200,000 grant. Well, they won't miss $70,000 here. Put that in my old pocket. Me and Fred divvy that up, that type of thing. In fact, I had that written down all the way back. The news clip when they were talking about the 4-day work week, they said white collar 4 times, and then they added the non-profit industry is also looking to add this 4-day work week. And I said, man, that the whole so-called non-profit, so many white people, they use that for all kinds of graft schemes, illegal activity, dare I say shady. That word certainly in the word guide. Probably would be if Mr. Fuller was a little bit younger. But yeah, I remember him calling in to tell us about this guy before, and just using questions to point out, like, what is going on here? Like, what are you actually doing as a part of this grant? What services are you going to provide? Just asking questions to investigate, getting more, and even getting the federal government to investigate. Hey, make sure everything is on the up and up here with this tax dollars, right? Enough scrutiny, the guy leave. Like, that can be the result sometimes of just asking questions. He leaves, but he doesn't leave totally. Now from afar, he's going to do some meddling, sabotage. All he did was share, and I love that. He says, hey, I'm going to go to my supervisor. Hey, let's go to the person who this is the lead on this grant and just make them aware of this. Okay. Contacts them, lets them know. They say, hey, I have concluded this dude is not cool. I do not want to work with them at all. Grant, I don't have to talk to them. Heard that before. I don't have to talk to them. I don't have to take any calls, no communication at all. I think that is excellent. What he said, his own edit, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do next time. I don't have to give any sort of opinion, which I think is standard code in the workplace. Most of the time, it is probably going to be best for us not to volunteer our personal opinion about somebody else in the workplace, what I think and what my experience and all this. I'm just reporting. There's probably somebody white, but somebody else, they can make the determination. Whoever it is that's making the decision, that's the only opinion that matters. I'm just making a report. I don't have a view, opinion, doesn't count anyway. I'm just making a report. No, I don't have a view or opinion about all this. I'm just making a report and really just asking a question about, should I be talking to this person? Do you want to talk to this person? Blah, blah, blah. That's it. Love it. I think that is the best. And that way, there's no way, because this is even in the book club, right? Joseph G. Christopher, Joey, he gets upset and blames black people consistently, even sometimes where the black person didn't do anything. He blames the black person for him losing his gun license. He lost his gun license because he lost one of his guns. That wasn't a black person's fault. He blamed the black person for him losing his job, security job. It wasn't a black person's fault. He fell asleep repeatedly on the job. I don't have an opinion on this dude. I never had anything to say about it. The person who is the lead on the grant said, I don't like this dude. Not trustworthy, which is a big one. Ooh, alrighty. Nothing else to say. That's the best way. I think that always, really in any situation, minimizing our views, opinions in the workplace, most of the time that is not going to help solve problems. In fact, can create some new problems. Sometimes you have to get called in on the carpet about things that we said. Much better to just stay in the making reports and then asking questions. The reports, then it just comes down to, is this report accurate? Strive for accuracy. Much of it, even that's what I said about individuals classified as white. They think differently than non-white people. What I mean is, I can give lots of examples, but even that right there. You leave a project, but you don't leave. From afar, I'm sabotaging and doing all this. I think most non-white people don't function that way. They don't leave a work situation and then once they're gone, they continue to meddle and disrupt and cause problems. Maybe you all have seen that. I just don't tend to see that sort of thing. Individuals classified as white, I see this sort of conduct all the time. Like I said, hiring someone with the intent of mistreating them and firing them. I've seen that with individuals classified as white. I just don't see that sort of conduct from non-white people. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in, the number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I did make sure I get in really quick. I'll give out the email too. He did say that fella came in, maybe he's developmentally delayed, has some sort of mental problems or what have you, who knows. But he comes in and says, hey, did you play with Jameis Winston? You went to Clemson? You got that orange shirt on. Football player? Now, even if he had been wearing, let's say, a brown shirt, not Clemson colors, a black shirt, summertime, let's go kind of a neutral tan, beige shirt, maybe he would have still made that comment. Maybe not. I don't know. Now, if it started with Clemson, if you're not wearing the orange, maybe that conversation doesn't even get started. I don't want to oversell because, I mean, hey, that happens so frequently. You easily could have had on, whatever shirt and been 20 years older and it could have went the exact same way. So, hey, system of white supremacy, just try to do our best to minimize. But yes, I did say I would minimize. In fact, in the workplace, I would avoid those bright colors, save all the orange. I'm sure the melanin looks great. Maybe his wife picked it out for him. I would save that for when you go out on the lake. That is when you break out the orange and do it. I mean, stun on them hard on the lake. I've been doing my chaturangas and pow. Office. Whew. They're kissing people on the head. Craziness in the office. Racism. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Bay Area Mom, yes ma'am. I was going to have the E40 sound effect where he would say, I want to be saved when she dials in. I was like, man, that is so like not constructive. But anyway, yes ma'am.
Should I save her? Okay, I'm sorry. So anyway, I'm in West Oakland blending in, and I'm doing my report. I had to take away from the nail because I'm a nail technician for this event that's supposed to curb the violence, and I don't know how. Anyway, workplace racism. So this week was interesting for me. 3rd week of school. 1 week without the lady that quit on Friday, the Filipino young lady. I just got back on Tuesday. That's when I ended up talking to the principal. She pulled me out of the classroom to go over what the BCBA sent her in an email on maybe that Thursday. I just ran over kind of what I go with you all and let them know, that how abrasive the conditions are. The lady is real rough. Now, I didn't get to really report how rough she is with the little girl that looks like she has cerebral palsy, but she's a saline. This is the white lady. The Filipino teacher is a older Filipino lady, and then there was a young Filipino behavioralist, and that was me and her. So we were the only ones that dealt with behavior. The white lady totally dominates the class. I don't know if it's the language barrier for the Filipino. I don't know if it's because the Filipino looks at the white woman as American. I don't know what it is, but the white lady is able to kind of dominate the show, and she's buckets and buckets of words. So when she used the Charlie Brown analogy on me, she was just saying, you know how like in Charlie Brown, I guess she was trying to say that the want. So if I talk, that's how the children hear me. I'm sure that's what somebody else told her because she uses a boatload of words, lots and lots and lots of. The teacher can't even give instruction without her re-instructing the instruction. It's like salt and pepper. It's a rap battle. It's awful. So there's a black male that's been in there for the week. Younger male, looks like he's in his 20s. Maybe he's a para-educator as well. I'm sure he's going to school for whatever he's doing. So they treat him like he doesn't know anything. He doesn't deal with behavior to that magnitude. He doesn't know anything about IEP or anything. He didn't know anything about IEP until today. So the little girl, like I told the principal, was going to be the one that was affected the most after this week. So, of course, she's falling out. The white lady's just pulling on her. She's real rough with the feeding. We're not usually in there. I'm feeding it's another guy in a wheelchair. He's more of a paraplegic, and he doesn't talk. He's not vocal. I don't know what his disability is, but I feed him since there's nobody else there. The other guy, I don't know, he's just there. And in the AM, and the white lady feeds the little girl that looks like she has cerebral palsy. So she's pointing her fingers, don't get mad at me. And she's always talking, and don't get mad at me. And one day when I first started, I might have called, there's another black girl in there. She'll be 12th grade. She's real talkative. I think she used to go to school in Oakland, live in Oakland. She was taught a lot. So she talks to me. She's always, Miss So-and-so, da-da-da-da-da-da, in Oakland. I was like, you're absolutely correct. And she'll, hey, we're not talking about that. Hey, what did you do yesterday? She'll do anything to keep her from talking to me. She does that. So I told the principal that as well, that I'm not, because, you know, I was telling you how she was just cutting me off, telling me I can't talk, I can only can say yes or no, that kind of foolishness. So, and the principal is black as well, the one over for summer school. So she said, what can we do to have you stay? I said, well, I'll stay to finish the rest of the summer out because I don't want the children mistreated. There's only 5 in there. And one of them, apparently was an incident report done from when all he did was display his behavior in his IEP. He wasn't being, or his BIP. He wasn't attacking me, but the teacher, she wants to say, yesterday, oh, did you make her tell his mom about when the incident? I was like, what incident? I was like, no, tell his mom what? All I did was ask her the questions she wanted me to ask her. It was nothing about asking questions. I just, did you tell her about their behavior? I said all I did was ask her questions. It wasn't nothing to tell her. So I totally forgot. I totally forgot to say something. I totally forgot. So she made up this whole incident report that I didn't even see. And he didn't attack me. All he did was, so he's trying to hug me around my neck. I have CPI training. I know they don't have training. This lady hollering and screaming. He grabbed the scissors, but he's not going to kill you. All you got to do is do your work, and you can tell what he's going to do, what he's not going to do. He didn't hurt me. He didn't do anything. And they all try to hug me or be up on me because I treat them decent. So anyway, I don't know what she told the mother, but the mother didn't bring him to school today. So the other guy in the wheelchair didn't come today. So the black male now is seeing the tension in the class and how all this stuff is going. So he's like, man. I said, I tried to tell you what you was walking into, but you was like, oh, I'm cool. I'm just minding my business. Now your business, they sitting there saying you don't do your work. So he, the little girl with cerebral palsy, she's accustomed to the white lady feeding her because she dominant, takes over this, takes over feeding, takes over everything. So she took over the feeding. So no big deal, feed. So she's real aggressive, however she does it. So the little girl was roaming around. She wanted to get out of the classroom. So she's walking by the lady. The white lady just keeps ignoring her. The only time she deals with her is if she's feeding her or when her and I go change her. Other than she'll, hi, girlie. Okay, girlfriend. Okay, girlfriend. Girlfriend. I was like, oh, I'm sorry I ever said it. So she, she's real aggressive with the little girl. She's always yanking her. So when the little girl's in her harness, she gets in that so she can sit on the bus and maybe strap it on the seat on the bus. And so she's yanking her around. So yesterday, she's yanking the little girl all around. So the little girl had a rough day yesterday. So she's yanking her around and just keeps yanking her around and yanking her in this harness. So she's really slamming her. Blow. The little girl hitting her head. And so the teacher is coming outside. She wants to talk to the little boy's mom. So I'm just looking at this, and everybody is looking at this, everybody that's waiting on the yellow buses to come pick the children up. So, yeah, I don't care. You can fall out. I don't care. I don't care. You can fall out, girlie. I don't care about you being mad at me. And so I'm just looking, and I just turn away. So I work 4 hours, too. So so the teacher said, well, can you help? Can you help her with her problem behavior? And the problem behavior is the teacher. The antecedent is the teacher. The behavior, this is the consequence. She's on the ground. So, anyway, I go over there to, I was like, that's okay, baby. Your bus is coming. Don't say that to her. You're making it worse. And I just said, well, you know what? I'm out. You can deal with this. And I left. So the teacher was telling the lady, be careful, because she saw how aggressive she was being with her, and everybody else was looking too. But she needs that white lady because she's the only flunky that's going to they both feed off of each other, however. So come the next day, after I take the little girl for a walk, she wants to tell me, because that's when I met some other teacher. She was going to another classroom way down the hall to another classroom where the teachers are nicer, and she recognizes the classroom. She recognizes the voices and everything. So they was like, well, you can stay over here for a little while. I was like, no, she's the guy right here. They already sent him to come get me to make her go back in class. So I was talking to the principal, and I said, she's not doing anything but trying to break out of class. She shouldn't have to break out of class. She should be able to walk around because she does nothing, no academics. And the ABA goals that were in place for her, she didn't want to do those until the BCBA came in on Wednesday. And then she's like, oh, no, it was a bigger misunderstanding what's going on with in here. Oh, stop it. Everybody knows you guys are full of mess. So the little girl's just roaming around. So the principal came in and said, in this meeting that this teacher called. So she wanted to call this meeting and say how we're not doing anything and how the white lady's doing everything, and she shouldn't have to be the only one dealing with the girl with the cerebral palsy. And she's not. She just takes over. So she's like, and just like, how you just left her outside when she was having a problem behavior and you just left her. I said, I went to go help her. And she said, she said whatever I said. She just said that I was making it worse. I said, you can't even talk because she's got to be in control of talking. And I said, and so she said, so no, what happened? I said, I'm telling you what happened. She said she didn't need me. So if they're resistant, I'm not going to force my help. She got it. Oh, I didn't know. Did that happen, Mrs. So-and-so? Well, I don't remember, but she said something and she was already mad but she was just making it worse. And then, she was making it worse. Okay. See, I didn't know she was making it worse. And see, so you guys, it's you left her. She's only supposed to work. So no more. She's not going to the bus anymore. She's going to get off at 12:15 and you come at 8:30 and get off at 12:30 and you get the kids on the bus. I said, look, lady, I don't care. I don't have a problem with any of this stuff. All I'm saying is it's only one instructor. And I say every time you open your mouth, she want to finish the rhyme. It's only one instruction. And she overrides everything you say. She got, no, I said, can I talk? Can I talk? Or do you want to talk for me too? Let her talk, Mr. So-and-so. Let her talk. But this don't make no sense. So when the principal came in, that's when she started to throw the black boy under the bus, and then trying to throw me in there too. And you were late and you don't help. And he's like, I do help. I do that. I just asked Missy Lane, since she knows you better, the lady better, then can she help? Can she do something? Help with the little girl instead of ignoring her. She ignored her 29 times. I counted. And so she's like, well, you say that I'm more familiar with her, but I only deal with her in the summer. I don't really know her. But yesterday when we were talking, you were telling us, well, I know her because we live in the same building, so I know her. But she doesn't know her from living in the same building. She just saw the bus in the building, and then she just created her own scenario around it within these past 3 weeks. So anyway, I just pled my case a bit, talked to some of the other teachers there. They said, when I took the little girl to the bus, she was not falling out. You didn't have to shake her. You didn't do anything. She just wants to go to the sun. Come to find out, this girl is legally blind. So none of these dummies, they got the doors closed. She's closed in. She's trying to leave the doors. They're trying to close her in. She's trying to break out because she feels trapped. So the principal said the reason they never close the doors. They leave them open so she can wander around. Because if not, she'll feel trapped. Not wander around unsupervised, but so she can be free. She's going to give me some paper and pencil. Have her color. I said, has she ever colored? This lady is ignoring me. I said, hey. And she's focused on the ones that do talk, the two that do talk. And, like those are the prodigies, like she put something into them, her and that white lady. I'm asking you, lady. So I'm like, hey, Mrs. Such and Such. So she ignored me. I'm like, all right, no problem. Keep ignoring me. We're just going to leave it like that. No problem. I put those color crayons up. But I didn't find out until we were getting on the bus that she was legally blind. So now, next week, I'm going to really give them the news because you idiots are sitting in here and you don't know nothing. And you're just wasting this girl's time and got her trapped in this classroom. I took her out the most she's been out in 3 weeks. You guys are insane. So they're supposed to do something for starting for August, too, because this is the last week. We have one more week, and that's the last week. And then come August, they're going to fix something or create something to where this doesn't continue to happen. And thank you for taking my call. I'll mute my line.
Well, that is extraordinarily embarrassing. Like, what an indictment for the school system in Oakland, California. Like, wow. And we just talked about that yesterday. Frickin' absolute madness. Catherine Pellinero, session 8. Joseph G. Christopher. Vision problems. Growing up, think that contributed to his poor academic record and him dropping out of school. We talked about non-Clemson grad, said he had to move, get real close to the board because he needed glasses. Growing up, we were talking about that yesterday. That is disgraceful. Legally blind. I think they said that was Joseph G. Christopher, legally blind without his glasses. That is disgraceful. Dr. Welsing, again, you play around with sex, the joke is on the offspring. That is disgraceful in so many ways. Incidentally now, within, all of that disgrace now, so we got a call, so this is the second time, non-white person who's gainfully employed contacted on there. What can we do to keep you? Can we get you back? We come back to work with us. Gas card raise, especially since with this job, if this is the same one, literally just a few days ago, you were hassling me about salary. Oh, we can't pay you all that for this. We only allow, a few nickels for coons who work this job. I mean, my goodness, we don't give out that much money. This isn't white collar work here. This is, hey, I'm experienced. I'm trained. I've worked with children. I've done this for a long time. Academic rhetoric too, trying to get my master's. Come on. I don't know. Now, what can we do to keep you? Same thing. They got lots of those labor shortages, especially in the classroom. I would make sure, hey, I should be compensated like I am a valued member of the team. Now, within all of that, it's so many things. I mean, you got the black male. She says new black male gets hired. He comes in. He doesn't know what's going on. He didn't even know what an IEP was. He sounds like he wasn't well trained for this at all. Set up to fail, which happens pretty regularly. Now, that's an interesting case study anyway, because if he's in this environment, so is this a black male who's actually training to be an educator, to teach in the classroom? Wow, they don't even allow you to exist. Oof, do you know how dangerous your situation is? I think it sounded like she said she tried to reach out and talk to him. It's like, oh, yeah, I got it. That's why I said many Cal's listeners have said, hey, I don't even do that in the workplace. Hey, United Independent, non-white people, they're on their own in the workplace. Hey, you got it. You'll figure it out. I get it. Not everybody, but some people do take that position. So he's there. He said, now they're going around and said, you don't even do his work. Already, besmirching his quality of work and competence. No count Negro male, so we already expect that to happen. Then she gets to Bay Area mom. She had told us last week to let her, shh, don't say anything. Don't talk at all. You don't do any thinking. Don't do any speaking. Yes, no, that's it. Nothing else. Dang. What in the world? Dr. Wellesley used to talk about that, don't do any thinking. You just sit here and yes, no, nothing else. Don't question, don't think why. You just do what I say. Shh. Children don't even want to hear you anyway. Dang, did they say that? What in the world? When did they tell you they didn't want to hear from me? And then they come with that girlfriend. Now, personally, that for me falls in line with the same, we talked about this for years in a workplace setting where white people, they get with all their ghetto slang with the black people. Girlfriend and what's happening, partner, and all the rest of it. Any other time, they're professional and, sound like a normal person. Then when the black people, they, got to break everything out that they've been waiting to say. The yanking, because we hear this all the time. We've heard this for weeks in talking about, the people that Bay Area Mom has worked with. How are you yanking on a student, like, period, much less that she's got cerebral palsy? Like, how are you yanking? Well, and then she's legally blind on top. Like, I said that before. Like, I thought we're working with, like, emotionally challenged students and they've had some trauma or legally blind or all of this. Like, the staff should be, like, extraordinarily patient, highly trained. I mean, best of the best. That's not what we have here at all. Like, they incompetent, impatient, surly, rude. Like, are you serious? Unprepared? I mean, what in the world? Yeah, like a disgraceful indictment of schools in the Bay Area. I mean, what in the world? Is this what, the regular children get? My goodness. I mean, it would have to be astronomically better to be like, oh, wow, feel a little bit better about the rest of the tykes down in the Oakland area. My goodness. 510 is struggling. She says, and then when they're going through all this exchange later on and fussing about the whole bus situation, and they find out she's legally blind. Like, my gosh. Where she says that they had this child caged, shackled, for however long, she's been participating in the program. Bay Area Mom's been the only one that, hey, let's try and go out and get a little sunlight, move around. You're not a prisoner that's supposed to be in school. Hey, get out of it. What are you doing? They come busting her, and I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? They come back and fuss at the black dude in the middle of all this too, saying he was late, and you don't have, like, this sort of environment where you end up with a lot of these white women who are in charge at various levels, administrative, classroom, all throughout, and they just get to be tyrants. They can do whatever they want and get paid pretty well, to harass and abuse everybody. Special needs students, staff, like everybody. Just be a complete terrorist. I mean, man, this is exactly why I have got to get that master's in something administrative so I could be a superintendent, because, yes, I do not want to be in this environment. This is not constructive. And if I can get that master's so I can be a superintendent, maybe I can see so that we stop hiring people like this for this job, where we can help get rid of them a little bit faster. That is the ticket. But I mean, wow, that is, you play around with sex. The joke is on the offspring. She even said they fabricated. They got to make up an incident report. Had the little black boy who just tried to give her a hug. Like, my goodness. Don't have any support, nurturing from any of the staff. Like, the only person to come in, hey, let's go outside. Get you away from this desk so you don't have to feel like an inmate. Oh, let's go do something and chat it up with them. All that they feel a bond, a connection, and try to give a hug. And that's not, oh, he's reaching out. Hey, we do have the Rona now. Back up, watch your space, all that, which would fine, no problem. No. Incident report. Oh, yep. Remember yesterday he tried to strangle you. Yep. Got to write that one up. Yep. Got those raping tendencies, got to write that down. Joke is on the offspring. Bay Area mom. Masters, get that master's that way. Get out of that environment, because man, that is that's just awful. I mean, yeah, man, can't believe. Well, not that I can't believe it. Definitely strike that from the record. I can believe it, but man, to just every day, that is standard operating procedure throughout the classrooms across the U.S. Think about that before you hit the bedroom. Okay, let's make sure we get all of the emails in as we proceed through the broadcast. Let's see. Other folks who wrote in for workplace racism. Okay, our victim who wrote in, or has been writing in, she has a white female supervisor, and then the non-white female who reports to her, the non-white female who maybe had COVID of late. So she writes in this week, she says, the non-white female who allegedly reports to me continues to overshare. I believe she bleaches too, like skin bleaching creams. This week, I was treated to information on her bowel movements, which she repeated 5 times during one conversation, apologizing if she interrupted my breakfast as I was working from home. For the record, she has never interrupted me or seen me eating, so she was being extra trifling. Not that it was a big deal if I was eating. She relayed the story on her bowel movements one more time on the following day. It's honestly like dealing with a child. She keeps interrupting me to deal with her issues, which in the end turned out to be nothing. Once she contacted me via the chat function because she was feeling extra hot. I told her to go home if she doesn't feel up to being in the office and take sick leave. She then told me she would look for a fan. An hour later, she interrupts me again to let me know she is fine and that the fan helped. This is extreme attention-seeking behavior, and in my mind, I'm screaming. I also understand why her former extremely posh white manager would call her every 2 hours. It's so irritating. I'm going to find a way to discourage her from contacting me. I'm very sure she has daily calls with my racist manager who gives her extra attention, the attention she craves. None of the racist suspects care about the non-white black female. They use her to spy on other non-white black people and reward her by giving her attention. Cheap and effective. That does work for many, many, many victims throughout the galaxy. Just getting a little bit of attention from a white person. White validation. Sometimes they don't even have to really say anything complimentary about you, or they can give you a cheap compliment like, "You're so bubbly. You speak so well." She continues, the non-white black female and my racist manager slip up from time to time, letting me know they have been meeting. It's clear they are trying to hide their chats from me, but the interesting thing about this is I have never stated I had an issue with them meeting, even though it has led to conflict between me and the non-white black female. I really don't care. The more time they spend together, the less time they have to bother me. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can before I move on. The suspected racist white male terrorist who likes to bully non-white, non-black females left the organization today. Hoorah! He said his goodbyes, informing us very confidently that he may work for the organization again in the future. He's probably welcome back. I don't doubt him at all. The non-white black female who allegedly reports to me gave me more information on his terroristic behavior. Apparently, it was so bad, the whole department submitted a complaint about him. Everyone apart from the non-white black female. She stated she would never do that. I bet she would report you. Remember, she already did. Remember, she got up in the meeting and said, oh yeah, she didn't even give me the assignment. She's over here, lazy heifer, in the middle of the staff meeting. She ratted out our caller, I think, unless my memory is bad. But wow, now that alone, I cannot think of anyone that I've ever worked with where everyone in the department submitted a report wow, this person's behavior is whoa. How is this person still employed? Everybody in the department is lame or crazy or, whatever. Everybody? I'm assuming this would have to be a lot of white people that this person has bothered. Jeez. Now that right there, I could not imagine black female, black male, whatever. I could not imagine where they are allowed to keep a job where everyone in the department hates their guts. Maybe I'm wrong. She continues, apparently he would undermine her former non-white, non-black manager who used to report directly to him by bypassing her to allocate work to the non-white black female and have separate meetings with her. She thought it was unfair the way he treated the non-white, non-black female. I found it fascinating as this is the dynamic between the non-white black female, myself, and my racist manager. I said nothing. Good job. He would conduct her one-to-one meetings whilst walking around the office. He's quite tall. She is quite short and very overweight, so she struggled to keep up with him, but had to go along with it. My summation is that the racists have unjustly networked, and the non-white black female is on the list of non-white people who racists can use as a tool for the unjust acts of racists they practice in the workplace. Woolly-minded, over-promoted, incompetent Carrie is still not working hard. She tried to get me to do her work today. I left her to get on with it and logged off for the weekend. That is something like white people are extraordinary, like pawning off, and they have so many different ways of doing it. Sometimes it can become a group effort, but pawning off their work on non-white people. And then they still come back in to take the credit for getting it done. She says, to the caller who asked if I have records of the comments, racist gifs, emojis, etc. that my manager leaves in the chat, she also does the same by email, so there are plenty of examples. I'm actually glad she keeps doing it because, for the most part, she is very refined. The gifs, emojis, and misspelling my name let me know exactly what she thinks of me. Exactly. Thanks for the platform, indeed. Yeah, I would just say, because we've had so many people, like I said, I think it was somebody who said they wanted to make that like a research project, and it seems like there's more and more data, like people looking at that, and particularly within the context of like GIFs and emojis used to promote racism, and then even more specific within like a workplace setting. There's so much of that they've had to make like policy adjustments about, sharing that sort of content in the workplace, or even if it's like virtual work, like Zoom, where we're talking Zoom, text, emails, whatever it is, all of that, that has had to be more regulated and what have you. So yeah, that's right. All of that you can just save immediately. And we've had folks for years who've talked about seeing this sort of content being shared. That's why I said that Redskins investigation with the Washington football team, let's go ahead and get the full report. That was a part of that too. So yeah, just file all of that away, date, time, and images or whatever, misspellings of the name, all of that. And those little chats, because I think it was one of the chats that they have where it disappears or something within 30 minutes or something, where she said it was seeming like they were deliberately putting some of the conversation in this chat so that there would be no record of whatever, tacky racist comments are said. Screenshot. Or just record the whole session, as some of the folks are talking about too. Untiljustice@gmail.com is the email. Untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Okay, it's crazy. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, our caller in Florida should be with us. Any other folks, if you have commentary, if we missed you totally, hand up. We will nab you. Soon folks are taking a moment to get their thoughts together while folks get their notes or thoughts, whatever they need to share. We should be here tomorrow. Compensatory call in 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on what a week it's been. My goodness, the Prime Minister resigns in Great Britain. Former Prime Minister is assassinated in Japan. They had the shooting at Highland Park, the parade for July 4th. Highland Park is on the list as a suspected sundown town, so-called. That's just short listing of things that have happened, and in addition to many, many other incidents. But wow, it's been quite an eventful 7 days or so. We will try our best to make sense of some of the news and events tomorrow, and then we should also be here Monday as well. We'll have more reporting on, but the context of white supremacy, are the syllabus as it relates to the May 2022 massacre, Tops Grocery Store, Eastside Buffalo. We are the syllabus. More information coming, should be Monday, but in terms of the history, but Cynthia Wiggins was mentioned today, non-Clemson grad, we are the syllabus. If you want to learn the history of racism in Buffalo and why did this massacre happen and who is Joseph G. Christopher, already mentioned today, go back over the Cows archives and or just keep listening. More information to come related to Buffalo. Very specific detail. We're covering all areas of people activity as it relates to Buffalo and the system of white supremacy. Much of it would apply globally, not just nationally. Anywho, let's see. Other folks with us still spectating, getting their thoughts together, where they have info to share. Maybe they're taking a moment to get their thoughts or ideas together. We shall see. While folks are thinking to say we have our compensatory call tomorrow, should have other guests coming with relation to Buffalo separately coming, and our rebroadcast, which I'm so excited for, should be coming, I don't think next week, but within the next 10 days. Buddy, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she was with us 2013, summer of it was 9 years ago this month, She was with us. It's right after the Trayvon Martin murder trial in Florida. She's on the program. She given her response. We talked about the trial and everything. She's given her commentary, and she says, sobriety would be best. None of this drugs and cannabis and blah, blah, blah. And we talked about legalization, and she gave her views. And folks dialed in on the subsequent compensatory call-in. She was with us on a Sunday, and so 6 days later, that compensatory call-in, non-white people dialed in. One of the few times I can even think of, like other times, Dr. Welsing, all the times that she was with us and gave her views and commented on different things. Sobriety would be best, play around with sex, the joke is on the offspring. Reading is more important than watching television. Black self-respect is more powerful than a nuclear weapon. Like all the different things she said, no one ever had, vociferous opposition to what Dr. Welsing had to say, except when she said, oh no, we don't need all that cannabis and drug legalization. Like, no, we don't need all that. That's, not going to be constructive for black people. That was the one time that I can think of where people called and like, man, Dr. Wells doesn't know what she's talking about. She's talking crazy. Like, woo, we are going to revisit what was said on that broadcast. It should be, I think, the week after next, because I think we can schedule it so we'll be able to hear the replay of that segment. And then the following day, we should have a different doctor, a medical doctor on the program, who's working in California to see if they can get the branding on all of their cannabis products to say that this product may cause psychosis and other mental problems, which is exactly what Dr. Welsing said 9 years ago this month, July 2013. Folks thought, Dr. Welsing is crazy. What is she talking about? Cannabis giving you hypnosis. Get on out of here, Dr. Welsing. We'll replay, and then we'll hear from the doctor who's come to the exact same conclusion. That should be later in the month, summer of 2022, Context of White Supremacy. And I do want to say for the record, while folks are spectating, even though this is not per se racism, white supremacy related, but man, we've had the worst weather ever in Seattle this summer, and the leaves have actually started changing color this week. I'm miffed, stupefied. The leaves normally begin changing color in July, but it's normally the end of the month. Now, last summer, I even noted it did start a little bit early. It was like the middle of the month, but I mean the week of July 4, and the leaves have started changing colors. Summer of 2022 already ending in Seattle. Didn't even start. It was 56 degrees on Sunday. That's what it was the high for the day. It dropped down to 50. The high for the day was 56 degrees on Sunday, July 3rd. That was our warm up for the fireworks and such. 56 degree July Sunday. Worst summer ever that is coming to an end quickly, I guess. Thank goodness if that's all we're going to get is 56 degree days. Anywho, suffering through cold weather and all. Coldest winter ever, the summer of 2022 in Seattle, Washington. They tell me there are heat waves in other parts of the country. Not here. Folks have commentary, workplace racism they needed to get in, other comments, observations.
Yes, Gus. You said something that was interesting, and I must say I was suspicious of this about the employer that keeps calling me back, because I have seen in the past they have mistreated countless employees there. So I was also thinking that, like, they can get me back just to mistreat me. So, that's definitely something that, that I thought about. And, I told you the setback I had with the truck, so I'm getting the tractor trailer. So I'm just, I'm just looking forward. It's really like no need to look back. Even if something was to happen with the employer that I'm working for now, listen, I'll make do without that other company. Being though that I went back to this other job from the injury, so I think it was more or less I can say a restart for me, like a reboot. So I'm going in there with a cold. I'm just kind of keeping to myself. I had issues with other people that work for this company, other employees, other coworkers. We deal with equipment. Well, my code is none of that equipment is mine. That's something that happens often. I told you about there was a fight between a supervisor and another employee, and it was over equipment. The particular person wanted to know where their equipment is. That is not your equipment. That is not my equipment. So I'm just basically going in with a code. Keep in mind, I do have a lawsuit with this particular company and one of their customers, so I'm going to keep that in mind. Any correspondence that I have with them is going to be through text message and email. So that's basically going to be my code until I'm able to, move along once I buy the tractor trailer and can basically walk off the job completely. So, and even with and back to the coworker that kissed me on the head, I learned from him too. I don't really divulge too much information because that particular coworker I noticed, and when I was saying he would say little tacky things to me before the kiss on the head, I let him know that my grandfather, great-grandfather was a rabbi, black Jews, practiced the Jewish faith. So once I told him this, he would just always try to test my knowledge on Judaism. Listen, I'm not Jewish. I don't practice the faith. My grandfather is a rabbi. But he would get in front of other coworkers. Oh, Victor from New Jersey is Jewish. And so from then on, I said, listen, I don't really discuss nothing about my family, nothing private with these people. So that's something that I learned from that other employer that I was at. So I'm going to keep on keeping on.
I think that's a song. Keep on keeping on. I don't know if it's a song or not, but they say it's a salutation if it's not a song. If it's not a song, it should be. Keep on keeping on. Context of White Supremacy. Keep on keeping on. I'm no sharing. I think non-Clemson grad talked about that before in terms of not volunteering like a lot of unnecessary information and your opinions about other colleagues and what have you and their work, and just not doing a lot of unnecessary divulging, going into, well, my grandfather, was a black rabbi and all this. Like, why am I sharing that with my coworkers? And then for that, they take that and, oh, did you know Victim in New Jersey is Jewish? I didn't even say that. Now you're going out and putting out misinformation and all of this. Why are you doing this? Oh, this is to get back to mistreating me so I can come out and do pop quizzes, test your knowledge about Judaism. I didn't tell you I was Jewish. Now I want to come out here and quiz you in front of everybody. Like, we got this whole fake Jew here trying to trick us, act like I never said I was Jewish. Why even share this information to begin with? Incidentally, that doesn't seem like I'm not an expert on Judaism either, or any other religion, trying to study the religion of white supremacy. But I mean, most of the faiths that I know, that's not, is that in the code? Like, you meet someone and, I got to now quiz them. Do you know the faith? Like, really? Where is that? Point that out to me. That's where you're supposed to behave. I've never heard that. Maybe that's why I'm a heathen, worthless Negro from Virginia. Unless my memory is bad, I think Victim in New Jersey, I think he had talked to us before about on his job with some of the other folks who were not white, where they ended up having, a slight verbal tiff and going back and forth. They got into politics and all of that. Having a code is so important, and then acting out that code consistently. You refine as needed, but hey, I am not going to be here. And some of it is just revolving around the same thing in terms of what you say, and I'm not just opening my mouth just to be talking. Yum, 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 and yum, yum, yum. And that's how we end up. What about Al Sharpton? Wasn't even talking about Al Sharpton. But that's when you minimizing when all we're talking about is the workplace. That's it. Not talking about anything else. Not talking about Donald Trump. Not talking about Al Sharpton. Black people's conduct in the U.S. None of that. Just the job. And even that conversation is codified. As he said, hey, this here platform, we have said for at this point years on that job, this is not my truck. This is not my forklift. This is not my office, not my desk, not my pen. It's not even my job. They fired me today. I'm allowed to use this car, to use this forklift, whatever it is. 747 jet, anything. I am allowed to use this, probably under surveillance, for a certain specified amount of time. That's it. That allowance can be revoked at any time. White people can show you better than I can tell you. It is amazing the number of brawls, conflict, problems that end up popping up, as he talked about, people behaving as though this is their property. It's not. That can reduce so many problems right there, and even just internal stress when you let go of all. This is not my, I don't care how nice it is. This is not my office. It's not my furniture. They can take all this stuff right now. Unless you're working from home, like, hey, I'm not going to be comfortable. I don't have any pictures up. None of that. This is your stuff. Can't get comfortable like that in the workplace, especially you get so comfortable where you're fussing with other people about a third party's property. Like, are you serious? Come on now. They come in here and fire us all for this. And all of us leave without the truck or forklift or whatever it is that we're, sitting and messing up. You messed up my, whatever, forklift and all that. Actually, it's Acme's forklift, and all you niggers are fired. Get out. Don't touch that forklift on your way out either. Let's see. Oh, they got the fire truck. Man, I saw so many fire trucks this week. I think some of it is 4th of July related, because I think I did see some reports that those fireworks, in addition to the parade shoot, like that's whole, separate thing. But in addition to that, there were just the usual fireworks and alcohol and, all the rest of it. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy. That doesn't even add in Highland Park type situation. Like, wow. Let's see. Oh, yeah, in the hiring administration. Yeah, see, that right there, I said, I don't think many non-white people would think that, but racists can be very vindictive. Vengeance. Get this non-white person, particularly when they say something like, we're going to make you a part of the inner circle. What? I don't even know what you're talking about. Do they have an inner circle room? Do y'all have meetings? Like, what? Is there an application process to the inner circle? Does that come with a pay raise? Most importantly, I can put that on my application that I didn't just work for the company. I was in the inner circle. That is for sure one. Can I get that in writing? I will be made a part of the inner circle upon rehire. Like, what in the world? Come on, man. Come on. That's another why I say with those metaphors, when I was more confused like that, wow, I'm going to be a part of the inner circle. Like, what? Like, wait till I go tell my friend, I'm going back to work. I'm going to be part of the inner circle, man. Y'all ain't even seen. Like, what? Now, what does that mean exactly? Do you get to participate in picking the lunch menu for the club meeting once a month? Do you get to pick what's in the vending machines out in the break room? Do you get a raise, most importantly? No? Like, what does that mean exactly? What benefits do you get as a result of being a part of the inner circle? Even your friends, you go and brag and boast to all of them. Go tell my mom, got to be hired. They're going to make me part of the inner circle. Like, what? She says, oh, and she's bragging all her friends and what they doing in the inner circle. I don't know. You've been there a month. You know. Come on, man. Come on. That white people are killer with that. They are, I mean that literally, because, man, you end up going back and they kill you. Don't even get to find out with you. I mean, they are sticking it. Pow, pow. We got you now. Like, I thought, white people can be extremely racists, can be extremely vindictive. It's right there with the deception, that key, the metaphor. If they really want to hire, they always know money talks, man. Like, hey, your salary was $50,000. We really want you back. We're going to make it $80,000. Now I might have to at least think about that. That's how you get people's attention. Your salary was $50,000, $100,000. Whoa. I might have to think about that. Not going to block that number. Inner circle. Just write it down. That's what I mean, come on, man. It's 2022, man. Write it down. You know how to get people's attention if you really want their services. White people know how to go after someone for hiring purposes. They know how to troll you. Like, woo. They are professional trollers. That sort of behavior where I blocked your number and you find another block number to dial me from, that sounds more like trolling, as opposed to, we offered you $70,000 last time, $90,000. $100,000. What is it going to take, man? Write down a figure. That's how you get someone's attention, not calling me from a blocked number. Trifling all the way. Someone else wrote in as well. Anybody that's in the inner circle on your job, because I've never been there, you can write in and let us know what benefits do you get from the inner circle. Person wrote in, they said, greetings, cows. I'm the black male from New York who wrote in a few weeks ago about my medical leave due to stress on the job. Oh, yes. I wanted to give an update about my experience thus far and also offer a quick thought on the dress attire at the workplace. I'm doing better from my initial hospitalization and have been on leave since early June. I'm scheduled to remain on leave through August, right on, which leaves plenty of time to catch up on the cows. I must acknowledge getting placed on leave from your doctor and getting approved for medical leave at your workplace are two different things. The time it took for my doctor to place me on leave to my leave being approved by my employer via third party was 2 to 3 weeks. I just received my first disbursement for FMLA this week. I have been fortunate enough to have set aside a few coins to sustain my quality of life during this process, but the burden this process had on my already severely compromised mental health could not be overstated. Just again, for the record, there are many reasons. Even if, hey, let's say that did happen. You get, hey, write down, what salary do you need for us to hire you back? 80,000, 90,000, 100,000? Okay, that's yours. Fine. Let's say you do get that. That is not the time. We are popping bottles. We are buying every new car and splurging, what they call it, revenge traveling. You know, we are taking every trip and just spend. Want to be frugal, said prudish with the wardrobe, frugal with the finances. Race soldiers can change things very quickly. Save some of those nickels. Something like this happens where you have to go 2-3 weeks, could be a month, could have been 2 months of, confusion, chaos about all of this. Have enough funds set aside. Hey, something like this takes place, I'm okay. That's stressful anyway, even if, as he stated, he had money saved and it was still stressful, which I would imagine it would be. Sit here and are white people going to approve this, and what if they don't, and blah, 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 and all the rest of it, and then it taking all this time, like under these circumstances, 2 to 3 weeks, that is a good chunk of, let's say it's 3 weeks, that's 21 days, that's almost a month. When you're already stressed. Being frugal to begin with, and then that can help you get through that process with slightly less stress. Because white people will make it, stretch it out, as they say, so that things will not be efficient. This process maybe could have taken a couple days, maybe even 1 day. We'll make it take 3 weeks. It continues. The only saving grace was that I have a black PCP, which is incredibly vital through this process, who was patient with me as knew how stressful the situation was for me. He reassured me, having spent decades providing documentation for medical leave, that giving my case not only would I get leave, but that would be no question that I would get the full 12 weeks if needed, that I did. I could not imagine how this could have gone with a white physician. Could have been way worse, I will say. Next, towards work attire. I work in a large hospital system in New York City. I have, before and during the pandemic, I always maintained a particular dress code. If I am wearing a button-up shirt, I am wearing a tie, no exceptions, as my father instructed, +1 for black fathers. Also, due to orthopedic issues, I generally have to spend coin on my footwear. However, I always wear dress shoes, and due to my size 12 feet, they are very hard to miss. Thus, I do stand out from a professional standpoint compared to every other male on the unit who tend to dress very relaxed. So much so that staff and patients on the unit tend to remark on my presentation, especially as I am the only black male on the floor. They appreciated the professionalism it conveys. I have heard, on the other hand, unsavory, delectable Negro word, unsavory remarks about the attire of my colleagues on the other hand. I do think it can be a problem, as it can draw attention if one is doing the opposite of your environment. It is better to be dressed appropriately. I would agree, very much so. See, I think that's the better way to go. Just, I'm here, I'm going to be professional. I'm already going to stand out because I'm a Negro. White people don't even allow black male doctors. So since I'm going to be here, I'm not going to be wearing Jordans and, saggy sweatpants or whatever it is. I'm going to be professional. Look like I'm a doctor that I graduated med school, with honors, magna cum laude, as they say. I would much rather stand out that way. Not saying you got to wear a 3-piece suit every day, but just saying, hey, I'm going to be professional with my work attire, and at the same time, the standing out, I don't want to stand out with my wardrobe per se. I would rather stand out just with my performance, and then, oh yes, I'm a nigger in the system of white supremacy. But yeah, being professional for the environment, you do not want it to be, you are the one that, man, he's coming in here, he's supposed to be a doctor, he's coming in here wearing sandals, and shorts, and cut off jeans. You do not want that to be you as a victim of white supremacy. Anywho, let's see. Much obliged, our caller, person who wrote in, there we go, in blackmail in New York. Let's see, other folks who dialed in. If you have, and correct my error, I said Jameis Winston before. He did not go to Clemson. I meant Deshaun Watson. Black male rapist suspect, Deshaun Watson. He went to Clemson. That's who I was saying. Yes, that's who they thought non-Clemson grad was teammates with Deshaun Watson, not Jameis Winston. Mixed up my black males. Shame on Gus T. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with commentary to share. Proceed.
May I be heard?
Caller in Florida? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to the host, the listeners and callers. There was a report that I got, just to start out with. There's a black female that does the payroll, and she apparently got sick, so she couldn't come into the office. And the racist suspects, they apparently were having trouble doing the payroll and everything. So it got to the point to where they had to call her on the phone even while she's sick, and had her waiting on the phone for a long time to try to, I guess, get instructed correctly to do the payroll and everything. I heard it was really tacky to the point to where she was asked to come into the office, while being sick. And then I noticed that when I dropped off the mail bin, that she had the door closed, and I heard someone coughing behind the closed door. So I'm assuming that was her. So that was just one of the scenarios I wanted to report where they had to depend on the black person to do the job correctly, because they were, at least from what I heard, not even compensating everyone correctly, like it got that bad. But I noticed that the check that I got hadn't been done incorrectly. But yeah, they had to keep contacting this victim and had her waiting on the phone for a long time. Like, it was just extremely tacky. But it looked like she got the problem fixed and everything. My next one is been more black misandry. There was a black teen in high school. We take passport pictures and everything. So I noticed this once again, this anti-blackness, like the black female was taking this black boy's picture, like a black teen, and the black male was with his mother. All right. So I don't know if it was, because he had a certain hairstyle or whatever, but I was paying attention, I couldn't help but listen. And he sat on a stool, and she took the photo, and they looked on the computer screen, touch screen, to see how the picture turned out. And she just imposed on him, like, well, you need to smile. You should smile, but smiling is optional. We're not supposed to tell people that they can smile now, that they need to smile like that is optional. Neutral expression and whatnot. It's a passport image. So they usually don't even smile anyway. But they were commenting on him not smiling. And he just had just a regular expression. And the mom said he looked like a suspect, his own mother. This guy's like, I'm thinking 16 from what he said. So he looked like a suspect. So, yeah, that's why I told him to smile. So I don't hear that being said to no one else when they, come take a picture or whatever. So, I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, that could affect that black teen. So that occurred. And my next one is I had a white woman come into the area, and she was trying to find out if we had recorded her satisfaction to the property deed or the mortgage. And looks like the attorney that she was working with never came up to have it recorded. So I had to let her know, like, can you please stand right here where the card is so you can view the secondary monitor? And so, I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then maybe like 4 or 5 minutes later, she started getting closer again because I had my mask on. I said, could you please give me some space? Please? So I was polite. And then she never moved from that spot again. I wanted to share that because the COVID mandates really have been, I guess I could say, relaxed. They hadn't really been reinforcing any of the mask policies, really. So I'm one of the few people that's wearing a mask. But yeah, I had to tell that white woman, like, hey, like that, like, And then I looked to see the reaction versus when the black guy, he was sounding frustrated, and he apologized too, but they wanted to press the panic button. The white woman wanted to press the panic button on him, but not on this white one, of course, right? So, my next one is I was coming from lunch, and I went into the break room. I was on like my third bottle of water, and as soon as I went into the break room, there was a whole bunch of smoke coming from the microwave, and someone had a sweet potato in there. I don't know if it was in some aluminum foil or what, but there was a white woman sitting in there with her legs crossed, and I'm like, you don't see the smoke coming out of this this microwave. So she looks up and then she rushes running toward it. Oh, I didn't even realize. I'm like, how could you not even smell that? Like, but on a serious note, this was a non-white, non-black person that left this sweet potato in the microwave, and it's like grayish smoke coming from the microwave. And they was like, well, we got to hurry up and clear this out before the alarm comes on. Not even 5 seconds after that, I heard his voice, his automated female voice. Attention, everyone. The fire alarm has been activated. Everyone, please exit the building, or something to that effect. So the whole building, we had to leave. So I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, and they were like, oh, I forgot I left it in the microwave, and she was at the front counter dealing with people. So I wanted to mention this because even with this, these MAGA Trump supporter, to use my metaphors, clique members, just only a portion of them, about maybe, I'm going to say 2 or 3, they started clowning. So we were at the administration building, and one of them came up with the name calling her Bernadette, right? So they had the puns ready, they had the wordplay ready, skilled racist language. So we came back in to the building, and you could still smell the smoke, horrible smell. So the black female went to lunch and came back from lunch, and I could hear her laughing on the other end, on the other side of the wall, the white side. So she was like, "Oh, that is just so funny. That was so funny. I just can't even understand how do y'all even come up with that? Complimenting them on mistreating the non-white person, right?" So she comes into the room and she says, they are over there really cutting up or something like that. They said they're going to have an intro song for this lady, the lady that caused the fire. They said that every morning they're going to play the song Let It Burn by Usher, right? So I was like, are you serious right now? Like, this could have been really fatal. The microwave could have blown up, all kind of things. So they're clowning like that, and they're saying that, hey, just to make an announcement, such and such, name the lady, she's going to cook us lunch tomorrow. That was another clique member, right? So they were constantly saying things like that. But after that was on Wednesday, they stopped making those comments. And my last one is, there's a black female that started at the cashier. So 2 other clique gang members, they've been having this issue with this money thing. They take money out and they'll put it back, apparently, from what's being reported to me. And we, like myself and some other victims, were suspecting that they may eventually try to make it look like she is stealing the money. So, like, say on Tuesday, before the payday, this racist suspect would not take that day off, but something can be taken out of the drawer. And she's sitting in a box, and I don't even know if there's a camera up there. So I think like $50 or whatever was missing. So the racist called in the next day, the racist suspect. And visually, people will end up thinking that the black person did it. She's sitting in the box. And the white supervisor, she's gone. So she usually had a pattern like that. She'll call in the next day. And the other gang member, clique member, will come from the side where I'm at, because they know each other socially. They talk to each other. So she probably text her and engaged in unjust networking to be nosy and come over to the other side and help find the money. So this is how evil they are. So, but I guess they did find the money. I'm not sure, but I think they're doing that sabotage the black female new employee. And it looks like she's noticing that racism is being practiced, but I try not to really get into sharing too much information about that issue. And that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Context of White Supremacy. Our caller at the courthouse. Now, I mentioned, we were talking about the 4-day work week. I mentioned they waste so much time in the system of white supremacy. Now, I'm going to say we were working at Kentucky Fried Chicken, just for sake of argument. We work at KFC. We're making biscuits. Well, they don't even make the biscuits from scratch there, I don't think. We're getting the biscuits. We're, doing the instant mashed potatoes and getting the corn coleslaw and fried chicken and all the other nonsense that they had to poison everybody. Okay. Even under those circumstances, somebody, burned some mac and cheese in the microwave and caused all this and everything and all that. Okay, so let's see. We'll blame it on retired firefighter. He burned. Yeah. We'll blame it on him. Pun on him, firefighter. So he burned the mac and cheese. So we're gonna come in. Oh my goodness, brother firefighter, he burned the mac and cheese. We're all going brother firefighter. Tomorrow he's gonna come in and make us an extra special spicy mac and cheese at the same time. All right. And then every day when he comes in, we stop and play Usher, Let It Burn. Now, even if we worked at the KFC, that is a lot of time wasting. And we don't have chicken to fry, biscuits to butter, clean the bathroom, all the things that we got to do. And we got to stop and engage in this sort of tomfoolery. That's if we were at KFC. We're at the courthouse. People come here to get married. People come here to get their parental rights terminated. Charges. Find out if there's a racist covenant on my property. Y'all in here clown. Why is Usher playing? The panic button is being pressed. People might be beaten. This level of tomfoolery, as he said, not to mention, people do die in fires. That's kind of serious. I mean, I don't know if the fire department had to come out and all the rest, but that's kind of serious. I don't know if that's something to sit around and snicker about. Much less we're going to do all this ridicule of a black person. Bernadette and all the rest of it. Bernadette. Usher, let it. That's a good one, yeah. Really? Incidentally, I don't care what the circumstances are like. You can burn the microwave up every day. I am never going to sit around and cackle with some white people about a black person, non-white person, period, on the job. That is never going to happen. I don't care. I could hate Bernadette's guts. That's probably not her name, whatever, but whatever. I could hate her guts. I mean, we could have beef going back to kindergarten that I never got over. She stole my chocolate milk in first grade. I never got over it. I'm never forgiven her. We're going to beef till death. I don't care. I'm not going to be sitting around cackling with these white women or white people, period. You got to be it would just have to be, well, whatever. When I get home today, man, I'm telling everybody, Bernadette burned the microwave down. I'm so happy. As far as they know, whatever. I'm moving right on. Embarrassing all the way. And again, I'd be curious to see what the response would have been if it had been a white person. Would they have done all that? Bernadette, and then we're going to do Usher and blah, 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 and, all the rest of it. Yeah, I'd be curious. Either way, that is a serious situation. Like fires in the workplace, people die as a result of that. And we do not want to be wasting the fire department's time either over goofiness. And I love sweet potatoes if you want to add one on top of that. Let's see. The black female should get a raise that does the payroll, and they botched it so that everybody is getting the wrong compensation, and said he got the wrong compensation and everything. Then they had to get her out of sick bed to come in and keep her on the phone and all this nonsense to get she deserves a raise. Like if she is the only one who can do this job correctly, even on her deathbed, and the rest of you lames, everybody hears with all the education and everything, you can't get 5 of them together to get it correct, she deserves a raise. Then the tackiness on top of it, get her out of bed and all the rest of it and waste her time on the phone with this nonsense. Like, come on. Doesn't get any better than tacky. Let's see. The passport photo, I got my passport photo way back before the Rona. Thought we were going to Toronto, and then whammo, no way. I did not smile in my passport photo, nor do I recall being prompted about, you got to smile. Come on now, Gus. Let me see those pearly whites. Come on now. I don't remember any of that. I've seen other people's passport photo. I've seen some where they did smile. I've seen some where they didn't. Neutral face. That's the big one. Neutral face. Not just, come on, smile. Come on, smile. You look like a suspect. Jesus Christ. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I gotta be a rapist? I'm a teenager. Why'd I have to be a suspect? Looter? Gangster? Crack peddler? Rapist? I'm just trying to get a passport photo. Jesus, black male privilege. I can't be anything. That's one thing Dr. Eddie Moore Jr. said, Cal Bell, the theory of impossibility. We are not capable, like nobody. Individuals classified as white and then all of the victims of white supremacy. We are not capable of, oh, you look so serious. You look like you're about to perform brain surgery. Nah. Lots of different ways that you could look like you are really serious. No. Only way that we can conceptualize, oh my God, is this some sort of wanted poster that you're trying to do? Jesus Christ. Yep, that's the look I was going for. The rapist. That's exactly what I was trying to look like. Yes, thank you. Let's see. Said he went to get his 3rd glass of water, container of water for the day. Drink that water. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see. And the encroachment. I asked about the COVID situation, in the workplace. That's kind of the impression that I've gotten from many places, although I do know in some places that they have brought the mask mandates back and all the rest of it, so it kind of depends on where you are. But this white woman coming in, she's, I guess, excited or whatever, really needs her information. I can understand. And she's encroaching, getting close up on it. Like, I need my information. Let's, chop. Let's get it. Impatient. Let's roll. Ma'am, you need to back, please. Oh, my encroaching. My fault. She's impatient. She starts encroaching again. Like, let's go. Got to ask this nigger again. Like, let's roll with it. Ma'am. Even noted the difference now. She can get in and get excited and be jumping over the desk and everything. Nobody's getting towards the panic button. Not time to be excited. Not time to be rowdy. Nobody feels threatened or unsafe. Black man, the brother, as they say, comes in and says, whoa, 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 whoa. Is the bailiff? Wait a minute. Can't even get excited at the courthouse. If you are, classified as that. Apparently, hey, if you are a black male, you come in here not smiling. Could be a problem. He said last week he was working at the counter. I don't know if he was smiling or not. That could have been, part of it right there. He said he was working at the counter. Another black fella came in, saw a stain on the rug, said, oh, I know who did it right there. Mm-hmm.
Cuz, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
And for greater context, I waved to him. And I said good morning. Before he said that to me, he waited, and like I said, I knew it was coming, but I wasn't even smiling at that time, so I just answered that. I was just blank, I looked down, but that's it.
Yeah, he did say he wasn't smiling. So see, black male not smiling, like, uh-oh. You already might be having some criminal thoughts, or you've already done something criminal, maybe a little of both. Like, yeah, you stained the rug or raped somebody or both. Yeah. Black male privilege at the courthouse, although it didn't sound like the black females came out that well either. If they got accused, it's brand new. Already, you stole $50 out of the register. Like, oh my God, wait a minute. Whoa, I just started. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. And then he said they went together and they found it. I'm suspicious of any found. Like, come on. Like, all of that is so lame, especially the way he's talked about before. Like, there seems like there's resistance to wanting to hire black people, males or females, really, at the courthouse, and then treating them really bad once they do get positions, especially if they get some sort of like supervisor or anything outside the segregated area, it seems, is a problem. And they, do all these antics and everything else, much less what we heard with the microwave today. But you get hired your first day, and oh my God, someone has stolen $5,000 out of the Let's go. We'll get on in the office. Check your purse and everything. We already know. Right. And I talked about that sabotage before, like reals. I am certain that there are a number of black people, just knowing what I know about the animosity sometimes that will happen with white people, a black person getting hired to go and try and set somebody up like that on their first day. At minimum, that is not what they call getting off to a good start, even if she didn't do anything, right? They found out, oh man, this white woman, did whatever the day before and blah, blah, blah. Man, on my first day working, they come up $50 short and people are looking at me, Come on, man. Like, same thing I've been saying for years. Like, they take your confidence. That is one of the, first things, so that you second guess yourself. She could have come in, I don't mean to use the metaphor machine, because that's, not him, but I mean been extremely competent. I am a mathematical genius. I don't need a calculator, nothing. Boom, 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 did everything. Perfect. And then leave, $50 short, what? Just that alone would be like, what in the world? Did I mess up? Now I gotta go home and think about that the rest of the day. Did I mess up? What? Did something? Man. Nobody does that. That's standard operating procedure. Anywho, let's see. I saw retired firefighter. Do you have anything to get in before we wrap things up, sir?
Greetings, everyone. a couple of these reports probably can last until tomorrow, but I may not be able to participate tomorrow. Just start off by stating, I've mentioned about getting your child or children proficient with swimming, but you have to be very careful about who you would employ to take on that task, and where that task would be accomplished at. Just a few days ago, a black parent took their child, male child, preschool looked to be, to a white woman. Not only to a white woman, but at a white woman's private house for swimming lessons. And the child drowned. I mean, this horribly tragic situation. First of all, unless you know that person personally, like it's that child's uncle or aunt that is qualified to do what they're doing, something like that. But I mean, just rare circumstances to do something like that. And even in a public facility, you have to be careful, because especially now with the advent of shortening of lifeguards, pools will be crowded, especially in hot places like South Florida, and in a crowded environment in a pool, a child can be missing, and you find the child at the bottom of a 10-foot area in the pool. So you got to, and do not drop your child off and go somewhere. Stay there, and if not, participate by being in the water yourself, but at least be close by where you can pay attention to your child. Yes, that, and also I heard a report about someone getting kissed on their bald head, and I have a bald head also. I've had a bald head since 1990, and I've never had that issue. All of the suggestions that I heard is probably a lot, if not probably, it is a lot better than what I would think about doing. If something like that happened to me, somebody kissed me on the top of my head, then they get a slap right in the face immediately with an open hand. The same response that a female would do to someone who would kiss her without her approval. And I don't think nobody would say that's unwelcome for that type of reaction. But I wouldn't suggest it. I put it that way. I'm just being honest about what I would do. Or somebody touched me sexually inappropriately, and kissing would be under that definition also. But you can figure out what I'm talking about when I mean by sexually, somewhere they will get kicked in that same area immediately. I'm not making this suggestion for anybody else. I'm just stating it's something that I would do and take the risk otherwise. But anyway, my open report is earlier this week, I had a scheduled appointment for an ADT technician to come by. ADT is a burglar alarm system that a lot of people have on their homes, doorbell thing. And so anyway, a lot of times even if you don't answer your phone, prior to them showing up, they would show up to your house anyway for some reason. But anyway, so I heard the knock on the door and opened the door and just told the person to, wait a second, because I was working out at the time and I had my shirt off. So I, closed the door back and put my shirt on and whatnot. And so I could be presentable with the person coming in my house. And so other than, as far as what I identify on what someone of that magnitude would be doing is just, taking care of the business on why they was called. I can see greetings, that sort of thing, and then they, get right to work. Or if there's some sort of briefing that takes place, which shouldn't take long because they already know what they've been asked to do, and then do their work and then finish, and whatever financial situation that may come up, sign the papers and whatnot, or write the check or whatever, and then they go their way. He comes to ask me, how am I doing? And I gave the Gus T. Renegade response, right poorly. He laughed. So that prompted me to say, well, why are you laughing? And I answered your question by saying, right poorly. And because he couldn't answer the question, well, he could have answered the question, but he didn't want to answer the question. He tried to change it into something where I was having an attitude or something like that, he said, something like that. And I wasn't going to let somebody that I'm hiring and I'm paying the bills for to come over to the place of residence where I stay at and give me some sort of personalized rules that they have. And I promptly asked him in so many expletives to leave the place of residence immediately. And I rescheduled someone else to come over, and they actually came over this morning and to do the job that I actually, you pay for it because you pay for the service every month. So basically that's what I had accomplished today. And that's my report. Thank you.
Right on, Will Smith. Well, whew, black self-respect. Lots of folks hiring those white people. That can be a dangerous experience of race, especially that to be in your house. Dangerous experience of racism. White supremacy. Bravo for black self-respect and getting him on out of there promptly. Anywho, we will wrap that up. That is so sad to hear about the swimming tragedy. We just talked about that, safety with water and all the rest. Man, that's I guess it's dangerous having a white person in your house. Wow, there should be very limited circumstances where you are in a white person's residence, especially your child. Like we had even talked about that as like a part of parenting code, not having your child in a white person's residence. You can go to the YMCA, outdoor pool, local pool. Like there should be lots better options than swim lessons at a white person's residence. Tragic. Again, Dr. Welsing said, we play around with sex. The joke is on the offspring. We will conclude there. We'll be here tomorrow for the compensatory call-in, and I think it's Monday. We'll continue. Let's go Buffalo. Much obliged for everyone tuning in. Hope it was worthy of your Friday evening. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white terrorism. If you're out and about, You see someone being rowdy and hostile, you should be thinking they could be armed. Highland Park, Uvalde, Buffalo, on and on and on. If you didn't leave your residence prepared to kill and or die, exit. If you're in a vehicle, you are sober, buckled up, not on your mobile device. We need all of our attention, and we are trying to minimize contact with race soldiers, badge or no. All of that said, Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask if you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.